Chapter 641. To get rich, first build roads. _6. Why? Wang Shaoxing became impatient. Zhang Xianjing replied calmly, Shaoxing, you need to calm down. Matters of the heart are not to be taken lightly. I cannot make decisions in haste. Moreover, from our time spent together, I feel we are not right for each other. You deserve better. Wang Shaoxing was rooted to the spot. He didn't understand where he had gone wrong. Zhang Xianjing didn't give Wang Shaoxing much time to think. She turned and left. She needed to rush home and share the good news with Lingling. Zhang Xianjing arrived home almost at the same time as the elderly Mr. and Mrs. Zhang. As soon as they arrived home, they noticed Lingling applying medicine to Suyu's wound on the couch. Startled by the noise at the door, Suyu screamed out, Ghost! A ghost! The ghost is coming to kill me. Lingling comforted Suyu softly. Auntie, don't frighten yourself. There are no ghosts in this world. It's just Mom and Dad who are back. Instead of calming down, Suyu seemed even more terrified, her eyes full of fear. She clung onto Lingling's sleeve tightly. It's a ghost. They won't let me go. They're after me. Suyu. Mrs. Zhang hurried over. What happened to her? She asked Lingling. She fell down the stairs by accident. Look, her arm is bruised. Lingling rolled up Suyu's sleeve. She refused to let the doctor apply medicine. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site C0. Mrs. Zhang sighed. Zhang Xianjing gave Lingling a knowing look and took the medicine from Lingling's hand. Mom, let me apply the medicine. Auntie listens to me best. Indeed, it was strange. Whenever Suyu was confused and lost, only Xianjing managed to calm her down. Lingling successfully understood her daughter's glance and addressed her parents. Mom, Dad, where have you been? Mrs. Zhang said. Your father and I went for a stroll. Oh, Lingling nodded. You both do need to go out more often. Being cooped up at home isn't good. What a stubborn old woman. Still trying to keep things from her? Did she really think that Lingling was oblivious? Thank goodness Lingling had a contingency plan and had Xianjing switch out the strand of hair entrusted to Dr. Wang. Mr. Zhang went to Suyu's side, touched Suyu's hair gently and said, Suyu, when will you get better? Suyu used to be a lively and spirited woman. How had she become like this? Suyu pushed Mr. Zhang's hand away, hid behind Xianjing and shrieked, You're a ghost! Don't kill me! I beg you, don't kill me! Mr. Zhang sighed. If one day he and Mrs. Zhang were no longer around, what would become of Suyu? Would the younger generation be able to treat her with the same kindness? Zhang Xianjing gently patted Suyu's back. Auntie, don't worry. Grandpa is your brother, not a ghost. Suyu wore a bizarre expression on her face. He's a ghost, Lingling continued. All right, Xianjing. Take her back to her room to rest. Okay. Xianjing nodded. Mom, Dad, they'll fetch you the ginseng soup that I have prepared. Just as Lingling brought the ginseng soup, Dr. Zhang arrived carrying her medical bag. Today was Mrs. Zhang's day for follow-up. Auntie Zhang, Lingling greeted as she rose to her feet. Dr. Zhang nodded, placed her medical bag on the coffee table and asked, Aching, how have you been feeling lately? Not bad, answered Mrs. Zhang. That's good, Dr. Zhang said, taking out her stethoscope. I'll head upstairs first then, Mr. Zhang said to Mrs. Zhang. Mr. Zhang wasn't much of a talker when he was younger, and hardly interacted with outsiders apart from his close ones. Over the years, apart from the day when Dr. Zhang brought Lingling back, Mr. Zhang had hardly communicated with Dr. Zhang. Mrs. Zhang nodded. You go ahead, Dad. You forgot to drink the ginseng soup. Lingling took the ginseng soup and followed behind Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang took the ginseng soup and drank all of it in one gulp. Dr. Zhang chuckled. Lingling is a very dutiful child. Lingling replied, You're too kind, Auntie Zhang. These are just responsibilities as a child. Dr. Zhang glanced at Mrs. Zhang's bowl of ginseng soup and continued, This bowl of ginseng soup has many expensive ingredients and was personally prepared by Lingling. It must have required a lot of your time? Not really. I didn't have much else to do. Lingling returned to the room with the empty bowl. It didn't take long for Dr. Zhang to finish Mrs. Zhang's checkup. Lingling immediately asked anxiously, Auntie Zhang, how is my mom doing? Absolutely fine. It's natural to have some ailments due to old age, but they are not serious. Dr. Zhang reassured Lingling and then patted Mrs. Zhang's shoulder. Ching, you raised Lingling well. If it weren't for Lingling's meticulous care, Mrs. Zhang might have already passed on. Mrs. Zhang held onto Lingling's hand. Lingling really is a dutiful child. Lingling blushed at the compliment. After making sure Mrs. Zhang was fine, Dr. Zhang asked to leave. Lingling, can you see Dr. Zhang out? Mrs. Zhang asked. She didn't feel up for it today. Okay. Lingling nodded. There's no need to see me out, impractically family. Dr. Zhang replied as she picked up her medical bag. Lingling laughed as she walked Dr. Zhang out. Auntie Zhang, you've done so much for my mom. Once outside, Lingling seemed to remember something. Auntie Zhang, my father's been feeling unwell lately. Do you have any calming or soothing medicine? I do. Dr. Zhang nodded, taking out a white bottle of pills. Half a pill at a time, once a day. Make sure not to overdose. Every medication has side effects. Lingling received the bottle from Dr. Zhang. Understood. I'll keep that in mind. Dr. Zhang turned back to look at Lingling. You can stop here. But Lingling continued walking with Dr. Zhang. Dr. Zhang, today my mom went to see Dr. Wang, but it seems the results weren't very good. I don't know if my mom will be able to find my sister in this lifetime. Dr. Zhang sighed. No wonder your mom seemed a bit off today. It's understandable considering she's worried. It's been so many years. But you never know. Life often surprises us. She might find her any day now. But on the other hand, if she can't find her, you're her only child now. Make sure to comfort her. Lingling nodded, accompanied Dr. Zhang to the edge of the road. Please be careful on the road. It's getting dark. I know. You should go back now. Dr. Zhang waved goodbye as she left. Chapter 642. Shangguan Farong was slapped _1. Lingling did not go back immediately, instead watching as Dr. Zhang's figure disappeared into the twilight. Dr. Zhang is about the same age as old lady Zhang, in her 60s this year. She has never married and currently lives alone. As soon as Zhang Lingling returned to the villa, old lady Zhang asked, Has your Aunt Zhang gone home? Zhang Lingling nodded. Old lady Zhang continued, Your Aunt Zhang lives alone, so if you have time, remember to take Xianjing to visit her. If it weren't for your Aunt Zhang bringing you home all those years ago, where would we niece and aunt have the chance to meet? Blink and over 30 years have passed, and your Aunt Zhang is old now. Again bringing up the past. This damn old woman just can't forget about those years. She has changed her tone and called her mother. But this damn old woman always remembers their relationship as aunt and niece. She never really considered her a daughter. All the filial piety over the years went down the drain. Zhang Lingling clenched her teeth in anger, but still had to put on a smile. All right, Mom. Old lady Zhang nodded. I'm going to my room first. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site. Mom. Dinner is about to be served. Zhang Lingling said. Old lady Zhang said, You go ahead and eat. I've just had some ginseng soup and am not hungry. Zhang Lingling anxiously said, How can you not eat dinner? Should I bring it up to you later? No need. Old lady Zhang waved her hand. On this October night, the stars in the sky were sparse and clear. Mr. Zhang stood on the third-floor terrace, looking up at the sky with his hands behind his back, his eyes showing an indescribable look. The terrace was designed as a sky garden, where Mr. Zhang typically enjoyed sitting in a lounge chair amidst bunches of flaming torches and listening to the opera. Old lady Zhang walked up to Mr. Zhang and said in as light a tone as possible, What are you thinking about? I was thinking about our Ting-Ting. Mr. Zhang's voice was very calm. Over 30 years have passed. I wonder how Ting-Ting is doing now. Old lady Zhang reached out and held Mr. Zhang's hand. Ting-Ting must be doing well. Mr. Zhang nodded. Zhang Xianjing came in from outside with a tray. Grandpa, Grandma, it's time to eat. The old couple wiped away their tears at the same time. Zhang Xianjing came over and placed the food on the table. Grandpa, Grandma, you should eat something. How can you not eat anything? Old lady Zhang nodded. Jinghua village. After Ni Yang and village chief Li discussed the road construction, Li called for a village meeting the next day. Everyone was very excited after hearing the news. The biggest issue in rural areas is the roads. Bad roads mean that vehicles cannot enter, which hinders development. Moreover, during rainy days, the dirt roads would become extremely muddy. This not only inconvenienced the elderly and children, but also leaves everyone covered with mud. Ni Yang funding the road construction could be considered a great deed. Village chief, is this true? The others joined in the discussion as well. Village chiefly laughed. Matzi, look at what you're asking. Would I joke about something like this? This is fantastic. Yang Yang is our village's little lucky star. What do you mean, little lucky star? She's a big lucky star. Village chiefly continued. Everyone, quiet down. The thing is, since Yang Yang is funding this, we can't be inconsiderate. My suggestion is that each household contributes labor if they can, and if they can't, they can provide meals. We can't let Ni Yang bear all the work, labor, and expenses alone. Okay. I have no objections. I don't have any objections either. Village chiefly smiled. Since everyone agrees, then it is settled. Meeting adjourned. The next day, village chiefly brought in a construction team. Everyone with free time at home voluntarily came over to help. During the afternoon, they even took the initiative to bring snacks and tea to the construction team. When the surrounding villages found out that Jinghua village was building a road, they couldn't help but feel envious. Today is the 18th, the day the Shangguan family is coming to the Ni family for a visit and to acknowledge relations. To show their regard for the Shangguan family, and also to properly entertain them, Ni Tsuehua and Ni Yang moved to their new house a day earlier. Everything in the new house is new, with nothing to move as long as people move in, that was all. And Ni Changgue lives next door, which makes sharing meals convenient. Mo Chishan came early in the morning. Today, Ni Changgue also took a special day off. Chapter 643. Shangguan Farong was slapped _2. Ni Tsuehua placed the breakfast on the table and said to Ni Yang, Yang Yang, go and invite Grandma Lu over for breakfast. Usually, Grandma Lu lives alone. Today there were a lot of people around, so it would be a chance for her to mingle. All right. Ni Yang nodded. I'll go with you. Mo Chishan stood up to follow Ni Yang. Along the way, Mo Chishan curiously asked, Yang Yang, who is Grandma Lu? Grandma Lu is a very kind old lady. She has no children and lives alone usually. While saying this, Ni Yang seemed to suddenly remember something and raised her wrist. Oh yes, this bracelet was given to me by Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan held Ni Yang's wrist and squinted at the bracelet. This bracelet? What about this bracelet? Ni Yang asked. Mo Chishan said, this bracelet seems to be from the Ming dynasty. Ming dynasty? Although Ni Yang knew this bracelet must be valuable, she never would have thought it was from the Ming dynasty. Mo Chishan nodded slightly. This Grandma Lu must have been born into a wealthy family, right? Ni Yang continued. It is said that Grandma Lu was a landowner's daughter in the past. Later, due to wars, she fled here. As they were talking, they arrived at Grandma Liu's house before long. Wuxia World. Site Wuxia World. Site Grandma Lu was feeding ducks in the yard. Grandma Lu. Yang Yang is here. Grandma Lu looked up with a beaming smile. Good day, Grandma Lu. Mo Chishan greeted politely. Although most villagers already knew Mo Chishan, Grandma Lu did not. She rarely went out and had been sick in bed for a while. Who is this young man? Grandma Lu looked at Mo Chishan curiously. Ni Yang said, Grandma Lu, this is my boyfriend, Mo Chishan. Oh, Grandma Lu nodded repeatedly. Very good. The young man is really handsome. How old is he? 28. Mo Chishan answered. 28. Grandma Lu calculated. That's 10 years older than our Yang Yang. It's good to be older. Older people know how to care for others. Where are you from, young man? Grandma Lu, you can just call me Xiaoma. I'm a local from Beijing. Good, good, good. Being a local is great. It's convenient to visit your parents' home when you're close by. After chatting with Grandma Lu for a while, Yang explained why they came. Upon hearing this, Grandma Lu said, "Well then, you two wait for me here. I'll go change my clothes." "All right?" Yang nodded. In a short while, Grandma Lu had changed her clothes and came out. For today, Grandma Lu had put on a wine-red tang suit that she would only wear during the new year. Her silver hair was meticulously combed to the back of her head and held tightly with a silver hairpin. Her face may be full of wrinkles, but she carried an aura of a lady from a reputable family. Today is Quihua's big day. Grandma Lu can't let her down. That's why she dressed up. "Grandma Lu, you look beautiful." Yang walked over and supported Grandma Liu's arm. Grandma Lu grinned and said, "Not to brag, but I looked even better when I was young." Not only was Grandma Lu beautiful, but she was also very strong. Like the older people in the village, her feet had been bound when she was young. Normally, people with bound feet can't do heavy work. But she did everything. Soon, they arrived at the courtyard of the Anai family. Anai Tsuehua warmly offered Grandma Lu the seat of honor. Grandma Lu declined, already showing me, a lonely old woman, the courtesy of inviting me over, is more than enough respect. How could I sit in the seat of honor? In Chinese etiquette, the seat of honor is usually reserved for the elderly and respected members of the household. Since Grandma Lu was born into a wealthy family, she knew this well. Anai Tsuehua said with a smile, "You're our elder. It's appropriate for you to sit in the seat of honor. Apart from Sister Changue, I don't have any other relatives in the village. I am counting on you and Sister Changue to support me today." In all these years, no one has said such things to Grandma Lu. Grandma Lu was moved. Her grip tightened around Anai Quihua's hand. "Child, thank you. Thank you both for your kindness to this old woman." Jinghua village was unusually bustling today. There was a crowd gathered on the east side where the road was being repaired. On the west end of the village entrance, a group of elegantly dressed people were walking. They were chatting as they went along, clearly not ordinary villagers. Chapter 644. Shangguan Farong was slapped _3. A stranger in the village always garnered curiosity. Whose relative is this? Such an ostentatious entrance. I have no idea. Maybe they are relatives of Yang Yang's family. Seems like that to me. Looking at the curious villagers, a look of disdain crossed Shangguan Farong's face. Where there is poverty, there are peevish folks. Have they never seen a wealthy person before? Initially, Shangguan Farong had no intention of coming. Still, persuaded by the old lady Shangguan, she came. No matter what, Shangguan Dehui was her brother. She should save him face. Shangguan Farong is not an unreasonable person. But now she regrets the decision terribly. Wuxia World. Sight Wuxia World. Sight looking at the village's low and humble earth houses. Shangguan Farong's disdain intensified. Which era are we living in that people still inhabit such homes? Does Anai Quihua's family also live in such houses? And the road is terrible. Cars can't even move on these rugged and potholed surfaces. Wearing high heels is an absolute torture, and it's excruciating. If Zhao Shen hadn't supported her, she would have stumbled countless times. Shangguan Farong, consumed with resentment, extends her hand to Zhao Shen. "I'm thirsty. Hey, race some mineral water." Zhao Shen quickly hands her a bottle from his bag. Shangguan Farong didn't reach out to take it. Zhao Shen asked, puzzled, "What's the matter?" Shangguan Farong replied irritably, "Open it. Are you dead man?" Oh, I'll open it for you now." "Shangguan," cries the old lady. "All you know is how to bully Zhao Shen. Ask Zhao Shen if I bulldoze him," counters Shangguan Farong's. No, my mother, you misunderstand. Furong never bullies me. Zhao Shun responds instantly. The old lady Shangguan shakes her head helplessly. For Furong to marry Zhao Shun in this life, it must have been because she had accumulated a great deal of good karma in her previous life. Who else could tolerate her? The Zhao family are all honest people. Even Shangguan Furong's mother-in-law hardly dares say a harsh word to her. This was Shangguan Zai's first time in the countryside, and her eyebrows and eyes were filled with curiosity. The air in the countryside is so fresh. Wow, is that sugarcane? Shangguan Su knocked Shangguan Shi on the head. That's corn. Shangguan Shi stared at Shangguan Su. So smart of you. I intentionally said sugarcane. I'm old enough. Don't I recognize crops? Shangguan Su shrugged. Yes, you know them all. Of course I recognize them. To prove she really did recognize the crops, Shangguan Shi hugged the old lady Shangguan's arm and pointed at a lush field. Grandma, look at those beautiful little cabbages. The old lady Shangguan laughed and replied, That's canola. Stupid. Shangguan Su flicked Shangguan Zai's forehead. Shangguan Shi moaned, touching her forehead. I didn't get it wrong. Canola is another name for little cabbage. This canola isn't the same as the one we usually eat. It blooms in spring and produces seeds that could be used to extract cooking oil. That's why it's called canola, explained the old lady Shangguan. You kids are really lucky. Not only do you not have to do anything, but now you can't even recognize crops. When I was your age, I had traveled all over the country. Although born in a noble and wealthy family, the old lady Shangguan had lived through a time of war and hardship. Feeling embarrassed, Shangguan Shi toyed with her hair and changed the subject. Dad, when will we finally get to Aunt Daya's place? Soon, Shangguan Dehui replied. When we round the next bend. We'll be there. Oh, in no time, they arrived at the gate of Ni Chenghui's quadrangle. Shangguan Dehui, unaware that Ni Qihua's family had moved to a new house, knocked on Ni Chenghui's gate. The obvious look of distaste on Shangguan Furong's face as she studied the somewhat old quadrangle was hard to ignore. This house is absolutely deteriorated. No wonder Ni Cuihua is scheming to be with Shangguan Dehui. Most likely, she wants to turn into the proverbial phoenix? What on earth Shang Dehui saw in a woman like Ni Cuihua was beyond Furong's comprehension. Creak! Instead of their gate, the door next to it opened. Ni Cuihua stood at the door. Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong, Xiaoshu, Xiaoxi, you all came. Come in quickly. Ni Cuihua welcomed everyone inside her house. Chapter 645. Shangguan Furong was slapped _4. Upon entering the courtyard, one could immediately notice the vibrant life within it. The rose-covered wall, the swing beneath the grapevine, and a small, colorful goldfish pond. Although the pond wasn't large, it had a well-designed drainage system with an antique water wheel installed by its side. The ground of the courtyard was not cemented, but carpeted with sturdy grass with a path of pebbles laid into it instead. Clusters of vibrant, multicolored plums were blooming on either side of the path. It's so beautiful, Shangguan Shi exclaimed. Even Shangguan Furong was slightly taken aback. She originally thought that she would step into a dirty and messy farmhouse. But what she saw was a miniature version of Jiangnan. Madame Shangguan asked, Daya, did you have someone design this courtyard? Not only was the courtyard beautiful, but its layout was also very reasonable. Attention was even given to feng shui considerations. Ni Cuihua said, No, it was Yang Yang who designed it herself. Before Madame Shangguan could respond, Shangguan Furong remarked, Well, Yang Yang from your family is really talented. She was already singing praises for Ni Yang, even before she became part of the Shangguan family. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. 0 Ni Yang's design? A little village girl like Ni Yang managed to design such a beautiful courtyard? What a ridiculous joke. She mustn't hurt her back making such big claims. Ni Cuihua chuckled and responded, This child has been clever since she was young. This left Shangguan Furong speechless. She had never seen someone as shameless as Enai Tsuehua before. Didn't Enai Tsuehua realize that she was being sarcastic? Enai Tsuehua dared to take it seriously. She even went on about how smart Enai Yang was. Oh my God! Why did such people exist in this world? Madame Shangguan intervened. It's all due to your good parenting, Daya. Without a good mother to guide and teach, how could there be such an outstanding daughter? One could tell from Enai Quihua's behavior and demeanor that she was a very well-bred person. The group then entered the house together. The interior decoration was even more beautiful. The modern minimalist style was embellished with classical elements, perfectly combining a sense of the past and the present. The hand-painted plum blossoms on the wall seemed to be blooming in snow. Enai Tsuehua took the initiative to introduce everyone. Auntie, Sister Su Lian, Furong, brother-in-law, Xiaoshu, Xiaoxi. Let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lu. This is my sister Enai Chengui. Since Enai Yang called the older lady Granny Lu, Enai Tsuehua would have to address her as Auntie Lu to avoid confusion in seniority. Everyone greeted each other warmly. Enai Chengui observed everyone subtly. Madame Shangguan seemed very kind. Su Lian appeared savvy. Shangguan Furong appeared arrogant, as though she might be difficult to get along with. Zhao Xin looked like a pushover. Judging by his demeanor, he would probably have no say at home. As for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, the children seemed flawless. They were beautiful and very polite. Overall, the members of the Shangguan family gave Enai Chengui a favorable impression. Just then, Enai Yang and Mo Qishan descended from upstairs. Enai Tsuehua said, "Oh yes, this is Yang Yang's boyfriend, Mo Qishan. You can just call him Xiaoma." Enai Tsuehua cheerfully introduced Mo Qishan to everyone while holding him by the hand. Boyfriend. Enai Yang even had a boyfriend now. Shangguan Su was momentarily stupefied. Mo Qishan respectfully greeted everyone. Everyone's expression became subtly uncomfortable at the sight of Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan, the man with the worst reputation in their high society circle. How did Enai Yang end up with Mo Qishan? Especially Shangguan Furong. Her disgust was almost visible in her eyes. If Enai Tsuehua married Shangguan Dehui, then Enai Yang would be considered her half-niece. How could her niece marry such a man? It was one thing for Enai Tsuehua to throw herself at Shangguan Dehui, but Shangguan Furong wouldn't tolerate anyone else tarnishing the reputation of the Shangguan family. Wouldn't she be ridiculed for being related to a wastrel like Mo Qishan by marriage? At that moment, Shangguan Furong was feeling absolutely frustrated. No way. She had to prevent this from happening. Either let Shangguan Dehui and Enai Tsuehua break up, or ensure Enai Yang and Mo Qishan broke up. Enai Yang couldn't be with a man like Mo Qishan. Shangguan Dehui, smiling, extended his hand to shake Mo Qishan's. "Xiaoma, do you remember me? I carried you in my arms when you were a child." Years ago, the Shangguan family and Mo family had some connections, but over time, their relationship faded. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 646. Shangguan Furong was slapped _5. Shangguan Dehui respected Enai Yang's views and did not interfere with her feelings, because he knew that Enai Yang was a person with her own thoughts and ideas. Perhaps Mo Qishan was not as unbearable as he appeared to be. Mo Qishan smiled and said, "Of course I remember." Looking at Mo Qishan, Grandma Shangguan thought for a long time, and finally said, "Oh, you are the sixth one from the Mo family, right?" Mo Qishan nodded. "That's right, madam." Grandma Shangguan laughed. "I used to play mahjong with your mother, and she often mentioned you." Although Mo Qishan's reputation was not so good, he was handsome, vibrant, especially when standing next to Enai Yang. That was a pleasing sight. Grandma Shangguan had a very good first impression of Mo Qishan. Everyone used to say that the sixth one of the Mo family was a waste of space, but today's impression of him was very different from the rumors. Not only is he high-spirited, but also modest and courteous, gentle as jade, and definitely not useless. If such a person is considered useless, then there probably aren't many normal people in Beijing. Grandma Shangguan had seen countless people and would never misjudge someone. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. And N.I. Yang was so outstanding, her judgment of people couldn't be that bad. Could it? Shangguan Furong stood up and looked at Mo Qixin. You are the Mo Qixin who was rejected by Jingrong. Shangguan Furong's aunt. Zhao Yushu is Jingrong's aunt as well. Zhao Yushu often talked about Mo Qixin in front of the Shangguan family. Mo Qixin was the embodiment of uselessness, a wastrel without any achievements or career. If any girl were to marry him, it would mean she was extremely unlucky. If the Zhao family knew that the person they didn't want was actually picked up by the Shangguan family, what would people think of the Shangguan family? Isn't this ridiculous? Zhao Shen's family and Jingrong also had some family connections. The more Shangguan Furong thought about it, the more her scalp tingled. These words were clearly intended to embarrass Mo Qixin. Mo Qixin was not upset and nodded. Yes. He had heard countless sarcastic comments, so if he were to care about each one, he would probably have died of anger by now. It turns out Mo Qixin had such thick skin. He even had the nerve to nod. Did he think he was being honorable? Shangguan Furong smiled, knowing the answer but still asked, I'm a very curious person. Why did Jingrong break off the engagement with you? Grandma Shangguan immediately laughed to smooth things over. Nowadays, young people are free to love. It's normal that they don't like the old style of arranged marriages. Unlike in our era, where men and women often got married without even having seen each other. At the same time, Grandma Shangguan gave Shangguan Furong a warning look. This child, she was becoming more and more tactless. Aunt Lu agreed. Big sister, you're right. It wasn't like this during our time. Shangguan Furong still didn't give up, but I'm still very curious about why. By any chance, did Jingrong look down on you? Furong. Grandma Shangguan frowned slightly. Zhao Shen carefully tugged at Shangguan Furong's sleeve, whispering, Furong, I think Mom seems angry. Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Shen. N.I. Yang walked over with a smile, curling her arm through Mo Qixin's. Why bother about the reason? I like Brother Mo, and Brother Mo also likes me. So he broke off the engagement with Zhao Jingrong. Just as Shangguan Furong was about to say something else, N.I. Yang interjected, Aunt Furong, do you know why Xiaoming's grandmother lived to the age of 103? Shangguan Furong asked subconsciously, Why? N.I. Yang said lightly, Because Xiaoming's grandmother never interfered with others' affairs. I wish you also a long life. N.I. Chengue almost laughed out loud. Even Shangguan she wanted to applaud N.I. Yang. What a great answer. In short life, Shangguan Furong was so angry that she almost passed out on the spot. This N.I. Yang was completely ungrateful, even after she showed her the true face of Mo Qixin. Not only did she not show any gratitude, she even insulted her. She was absolutely without any manners, and yet, she couldn't think of any way to rebut this. Brother Mo, let's go to the kitchen and prepare the food. N.I. Yang looked up at Mo Qixin. All right. Mo Qixin nodded. The two of them said goodbye to everyone and headed towards the kitchen. Shangguan Su watched their retreating figures. He seemed to be in a daze. With N.I. Yang's conditions, she could have found someone better. Why does it have to be Mo Qixin? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 647. Shangguan Furong was slapped _6. Moreover, it was evident that N.I. Yang was very protective of Mo Qixin. Did Mo Qixin really possess some extraordinary qualities? N.I. Yang and Mo Qixin went into the kitchen. Brother Mo, I'm sorry for making you feel embarrassed. N.I. Yang gripped Mo Qixin's hand. Mo Qixin's thin lips parted slightly. So you're gonna comfort me? Should I hug you then? N.I. Yang pulled Mo Qixin into a hug. Mo Qixin chuckled, patting her hair. Is this what you call an embarrassment? You're really not angry? N.I. Yang looked up at Mo Qixin. Mo Qixin shook his head. There's no need to be angry over such a trivial matter. If he cared about his reputation, he wouldn't have become the person he is today. His current status allows him to see many things that can't be seen from a high position, like the human heart. Grandma Shangguan took an opportunity to pull Shangguan Furong into a corner, admonishing her harshly, and only then did Shangguan Furong finally calm down. Source: web novel. Calm. Updated on Omicron New. She stopped picking at things during lunch. Of course, it might also be because Ni Yang's cooking was too delicious. The dishes on the table were quite unusual, such as grilled fish, sour fish, boiled meat, hot pot, which were unfamiliar to everyone. Beijing people generally like spicy food, and this meal was perfectly to their taste. Shangguan, she was utterly amazed. Yang, the food you cook is really delicious, even better than the pickled fish noodles and Kanto stew you sell in your restaurant. Absolutely. Grandma Shangguan also gave Ni Yang a thumbs up. Ni Yang's cooking skills were absolutely divine. Shangguan Furong looked up at Ni Yang. The food was very delicious. Ni Yang's face was pretty too. Beyond these two advantages, it seemed hard to find other advantages in Ni Yang. Considering her status in the circle, she could find someone better for Ni Yang than Mo Qixin. Shangguan Furong narrowed her eyes, plotting inside. After dinner, Shangguan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua took everyone to stroll around the village. Ni Yang and Mo Qixin stayed in the kitchen to wash the dishes. Only Ni Qingui and Grandma Shangguan remained in the house. Grandma Shangguan tactfully mentioned the wedding date of Ni Tsuehua and Shangguan Dehui to Ni Qingui. It wouldn't be right to talk about this matter directly with Ni Tsuehua. It was more appropriate to discuss it with Ni Qingui. Qingui, both of them are not young anymore. I was thinking if they can marry early, they should marry early so as to avoid any additional troubles. If Daya is not willing to move to my place, it's fine for Dehui to accompany her here, as long as they visit me once a week. Grandma Shangguan was not the kind of person who wouldn't make a concession. Ni Tsuehua had lived here for a long time and was used to it. If she suddenly had to move to the Shangguan's house, she would definitely feel uncomfortable. After all, Shangguan Dehui used to live on campus, so there wouldn't be a problem if he stayed here with Ni Tsuehua after their marriage. Ni Qingui nodded. You're right, Grandma, but I can't decide this for Yang Yang's mother. How about this? Please leave your number, and I'll ask Ni Tsuehua and then confirm with you. How does that sound? All right, I'll leave it to you then. Grandma Shangguan continued. Once things are settled on your end, I'll arrange for the matchmaker to come. Although it was a second marriage, the formalities wouldn't have to be neglected. Okay. Ni Qingui nodded. She had to admit, Grandma Shangguan was quite considerate. They returned to Beijing in the evening. Shangguan Furong said, I don't agree with Ni Yang being with Mo Qixin. You don't agree? What gives you the right to decide? Grandma Shangguan looked at Shangguan Furong unhappily. Is it up to you now? Shangguan Dehui's face also didn't look too pleased. Shangguan Furong's performance in the Ni family's house in the morning had made him lose face in front of Ni Tsuehua. Fortunately, Mo Qixin was magnanimous and didn't pay her any mind. Mom, I'm doing this for the sake of the Shangguan family. Shangguan Furong continued. You allowed my brother to be with Daya. That's fine. But now you're letting Daya's daughter be with Mo Qixin. Isn't this a disgrace to our family? Auntie Zhao has said all those things about Mo Qixin in front of us, and it's not like you weren't aware. Why should we take someone that Zhao Jingrong doesn't want for the Shangguan family? Even if Grandma Shangguan could ignore the shame, she still had to save face. Ni Yang's surname is Ni, not Shangguan. Shangguan Dehui spoke out coldly. Are you insisting on meddling in other people's affairs? Shangguan Furong turned to look at Shangguan Dehui. Shocked. Daya is about to marry you. Isn't Ni Yang supposed to change her surname? Do you mean to let the Shangguan family support them while they keep the Ni surname? This is unacceptable. I disagree. If someone marries into the family, they follow the family. Now that Ni Tsuehua is about to marry into the Shangguan family, she would belong to the Shangguan family. As Ni Qihua's daughter, Ni Yang naturally couldn't continue to bear Ni Qihua's surname. If Ni Yang continued to bear the Ni surname, What would this mean? You don't have the right to disagree, said Shangguan Dehui. An Yang is capable of supporting herself. She is far more excellent than you can imagine. Shangguan Furong huffed. Isn't she just a noodle vendor? What's so great about that? Brother, you're just a typical case of a man forgetting his sister after getting a wife. I share a blood connection with you, yet now you're willing to turn against me for a stranger? I only have your best interests at heart. Daya is nothing but a seductress. She doesn't deserve to set foot in our home. Here, Shangguan Furong paused before continuing. I'm laying down the rules today. Either you break up with Daya, or Yang ends things with Mo Chishan. Otherwise, Daya won't be allowed into the Shangguan family's house. Also, Yang must change her surname. She doesn't have the right to bear the Ni surname any longer. Shut up. Overwhelmed, Shangguan Dehui finally gave her a slap. After that slap, the car fell silent. Shangguan Furong covered her face, looking at Shangguan Dehui incredulously. You hit me? You actually hit me? Zhao Shen finally reacted and cried anxiously, Furong, are you okay? Does it hurt? Shangguan Furong angrily pushed Zhao Shen's hand away. Shangguan Dehui, how dare you hit me? Shangguan Dehui had never hit her before, but today she had been slapped by Shangguan Dehui. In front of everyone. Even teenagers like Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were present. And also Su Lian, who had always been at odds with her. How was she supposed to carry herself now? Was this how Shangguan Dehui was going to treat her? Well slapped. Grandma Shangguan spoke coldly. If you weren't slapped, you would never understand your place. You may arrogantly throw your weight around in the Zhao family, where people accommodate your behavior, but not in the Shangguan family. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 648. When did you become so close with her? _1 Shangguan Furong was so angry that her whole body was trembling. Her left cheek covered by her hand, tears falling like cut strings of pearls. Shangguan Dehui had hit her, and it was bad enough that the elder Mrs. Shangguan hadn't defended her. But even worse, she had poured oil on the flames, blaming Shangguan Furong instead. In her mind, she was only doing all of this for the good of the Shangguan family. Would she ever even say a word if she didn't carry the Shangguan name? Now she has become the villain. Do you think I wanted to meddle in everything? Everything I've done for the Shangguan family. Matriarch Shangguan cast a glance at Shangguan Furong. I will tell you once again, the affairs of the Shangguan family do not need your intervention. What was supposed to have been a happy occasion was wrecked into a complete mess by Shangguan Furong. The atmosphere inside the carriage was heavy with tension. Once they stepped out of the carriage, Shangguan Shi set out to comfort Shangguan Furong. Aunt, don't be angry. My father was too impulsive today. He didn't mean to hurt you. Actually, it was the first time Shangguan Shi had ever seen Shangguan Dehui explode with such anger. The Shangguan Dehui in his memories has always been gentle and cultured. He had never even erupted in anger in front of others. That moment had startled even Shangguan Shi. Truly, a beautiful face brings disaster, said Shangguan Furong. For this, I don't blame your father. Blame should fall on Daya. If not for her, your father would have never treated me like this. Source, web novel. Com, updated on new. Since she was a child, Shangguan Dehui had always doted on her. Had never spoken harshly to her. Shangguan Shi continued, Aunt, it's not Aunt Daya's fault. I've observed her closely. Aunt Daya is a very reasonable person. Before Shangguan Shi had finished, Shangguan Furong interrupted. Xiaoxi, by the tone of your voice, am I the one to blame for all this? Daya hadn't even married into the Shangguan family yet, and she was already being treated as an outsider. If Daya were to marry into the Shangguan family, would her voice not even matter anymore? Aunt, that's not what I meant. Shangguan Shi chose his words carefully, afraid of upsetting Shangguan Furong if he misspoke. I think you may be misunderstanding Aunt Daya. Shangguan Furong remained silent, her face cold. Shangguan, she was still a child. She could let it slide with him, but she would definitely hold Anai Tsuehua accountable for all that had happened. So, you also believe Anai Yang need not change her surname? Shangguan Furong asked. Aunt. Shangguan, she continued. Anai Yang is an individual in her own right. She belongs to herself and no one else. Furthermore, she's of age now. Whether she wants to change her surname or not, we can't force her. It should be her own decision. Besides, Aunt Dia raised her single-handedly since she was little. The Shangguan family has never paid for any of her upbringing. Isn't it unreasonable to force Anai Yang to change her surname? Shangguan Shi, like his father, was known for being reasonable. Everyone is siding with her. Shangguan Shi said, Aunt, perhaps you can try putting yourself in their shoes. If it were you, would you be willing to have your daughter, whom you've raised painstakingly for 18 years, change her surname? Xiaoxi, what are you trying to say? Shangguan Furong was shocked. Are you cursing your own aunt for the sake of an outsider? That was just too much. Now, it seems no one from the Shangguan family even cared for her anymore. No, Shangguan Shi hurried to explain. Aunt, I was merely making a comparison. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. Fine, let's leave this matter aside for the moment. Let's talk about Anai Yang's personal affairs. Everybody is well aware of who Mo Qishan is. Dia is going to marry into the Shangguan family, and if her daughter is with Mo Qishan, wouldn't that reflect poorly on the Shangguan family? Mo Qishan was nothing more than a failure. What qualifications did he have to be a son-in-law of the Shangguan family? The mere thought of it gave Shangguan Furong a headache. Shangguan, she said, Aunt, I believe we don't need to meddle in this affair. Do we? After all, it's Anai Yang's personal business. Freedom of love is granted in today's society. She can be with whoever she likes. Everyone ought to mind their own business. Meddling too much would only lead to unnecessary troubles. Shangguan Furong was seething with anger. No one understood her. They made her feel as if she was a nosy person. But it is our family's reputation at stake. Shangguan, she didn't know how to comfort Shangguan Furong anymore. Her thoughts were too extreme. Aunt, Shangguan, she tried to soften his voice. I think Mo Qishan isn't as bad as people say. Think about it, if he were truly useless, would he behave so gracefully? I think there is a misunderstanding about him in the outside world. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 649. When did you become so close with her? _2. If Mo Qishan is really a waste, then there wouldn't be any normal people in the world. Shangguan Furong felt that she couldn't communicate with Shangguan Shi anymore. She snorted coldly. If he's not a waste, would Zhao Jingrong have broken off the engagement with him? The Shangguan family's status in the circle is not lower than the Zhao family's. Why would they want someone that even the Zhao family has discarded? The Shangguan family aren't a garbage recycling service. Maybe Zhao Jingrong was just mistaken, Shangguan Shi reasoned. A waste is a waste. Zhao Jingrong, returned from studying abroad in M country. Would she be mistaken? Only a naive country girl like Anai Yang would think she's struck gold. She doesn't even mind the shame. Shangguan Shi let out a small sigh, held Shangguan Furong's arm, and said, Aunt, Anai Yang is an outstanding girl. She's no worse than Zhao Jingrong. You don't need to think about it that much. Shangguan Furong's eyes were full of mockery. A country girl wants to compete with a person who studied abroad. Xiaoxi, you must be out of your mind. Shangguan Shi was silent. She felt like she really couldn't communicate with Shangguan Furong. In psychology, what was this called? Midlife crisis? Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. But the age for midlife crisis is around 45 to 60 for women. Shangguan Furong is only in her 30s this year. Claiming she's undergoing a midlife crisis wouldn't fit in terms of her age. The aunt and niece walked ahead, while Zhao Xin followed behind. After sending Shangguan Furong home and comforting her a bit, Zhao Xin returned to the car. The old Mrs. Shangguan asked, "How's your aunt?" Shangguan Farong is her only daughter, pampered since a child, with strong and proud personality. The old Mrs. Shangguan was afraid that she might do something desperate. "Shangguan," she said, "I think she should be fine." The old Mrs. Shangguan sighed lightly. "It's my fault for not educating her well since childhood. She's got such a bad temper." "Grandma, don't worry too much," comforted Shangguan Shi. "My aunt has always been like this, but she's not a bad person. Just ignore her." At times like this, Shangguan Shi could only comfort both parties. The old Mrs. Shangguan nodded, turned to Su Lian. "Sister Lian, I'm sorry for the embarrassment." Su Lian said, "Every family has its own problems. Don't think too much about it." The old Mrs. Shangguan continued. "If only Farong was half as sensible as you, I wouldn't have to worry so much." The old Mrs. Shangguan was truly grateful to Su Lian. Su Fun had a difficult delivery. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were twins, born with a particularly weak constitution. At that time, Su Lian's child had just turned 8 months old and she had abundant breast milk. Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi were nursed by Su Lian. Although Su Lian was just an aunt, for Shangguan Su and Shangguan Shi, it was no different from a biological mother. That's why Shangguan Dehui respects Su Lian so much. Zhao family. After Shangguan Furong returned home, the more she thought about it, the more upset she became, and she found everything disagreeable. Zhao Shun was standing nervously to one side, afraid of being implicated. Seeing that her daughter-in-law was in a bad mood, Mrs. Zhao carefully brought over a plate of cut fruits. "Furong, these fruits were just delivered by Uncle Lin today. They're fresh and sweet. Eating more can also help dispel your body heat." At those words, Shangguan Furong became even angrier. "Mom, what are you implying? Do I look angry to you? Are you here to laugh at me because my brother hit me?" She was bullied by both her parental and marital families. How unlucky could she be? Mrs. Zhao explained, "Furong, you're misunderstanding. I didn't mean it that way. I just thought that you—" Shangguan Furong turned to look at Mrs. Zhao and interrupted her. "Then what did you mean?" "I think you did it on purpose." "Furong, don't be angry. It's all my fault. If you don't want to eat, they'll take the fruit away." Mrs. Zhao reached out to take the fruit plate. The daughter-in-law was so bad-tempered. Mrs. Zhao had no choice but to endure. After all, she was getting old, and even if she was wronged, she wouldn't be wronged for too many days. Poor Zhaoshan. He would have to suffer for a lifetime. Mrs. Zhao sighed inwardly. "Enough is enough." Shangguan Furong frowned and said, "Mom, go back to your room and rest. What are you doing causing a ruckus here? Don't I look distraught enough to you?" The old woman is truly annoying. She just knows how to create trouble. Mrs. Zhao then said, "Then he'll go out for a walk." Shangguan Furong said impatiently, "Just go. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 650. When did you become so close with her? _3. As soon as she finished speaking, Shangguan Furong glared at Zhao Xin. "You go away too, standing here like a nail. It's so annoying. If it were another man whose wife got hit, he would definitely fight back immediately. But Zhao Xin, he doesn't even dare to fart. Just like a waste. All right?" Zhao Xin nodded and responded, following old lady Zhao out of the room. As the mother and son left the room, old lady Zhao sighed, "Shunbao, when will you be able to stand up for yourself?" "Mom, Furong's temper is a bit strong, but her heart is kind," Zhao Xin said, helping old lady Zhao down the stairs. "She hasn't mistreated you, nor did she keep you deprived." Old lady Zhao helplessly shook her head. Isn't a bad temper a flaw? In all of Beijing, which daughter-in-law would arbitrarily command her mother-in-law? Old lady Zhao has worked all her life for the Zhao family, only to have to rely on others in the end, and put up with Shangguan Furong's changing moods every day. What sort of deal is that? From the dark, a shadow hid behind the green plants, quietly listening to the mother and son's conversation. Source: Web novel. Calm. Updated on Omicron. Old Lady Zhao continued, Xinbao, isn't equality between men and women being emphasized now? When can our family have this equality? Mom, let it go, Zhao Xin said. It's fine as it is. Why stir up trouble in the family? Old Lady Zhao sighed. Xinbao, I ache for you. The most important thing between husband and wife is respect. Where else would a husband get punished and slapped by his wife at the drop of a hat? Think about it, hasn't Shangguan Furong bullied you enough? I think you should learn from De Hui. If that doesn't work, seize power with force. She didn't expect Shangguan Furong to be virtuous. She only wished Shangguan Furong could temper her strong nature. Have Zhao Xin suffer less and make their home feel more like a home. Zhao Xin replied, Mom, I know you care about me, but Furong is just like that. Even her own mother can't do anything about her. What can I do? It doesn't matter. That's how I've been living my life anyway. Zhao Xin once complained to Old Lady Shangguan. Old Lady Shangguan reprimanded Shangguan Furong. But in the end, it was useless and even led Shangguan Furong to become more unruly. After that, Zhao Xin didn't dare to complain easily anymore. Old Lady Zhao waved her hand. Forget it. I also didn't have hope that you could actually resist. As mother and son moved further away, the dim street light cast long shadows of the two, and a dark green leaf fell on the ground. Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa, watching her own face in the mirror. De Hui was brutal. There was a clear handprint visible on her left cheek. Just then, the butler walked in from outside. Madam, what's the matter? Shangguan Furong looked up at the butler with annoyance. The butler swallowed and said, Comrade Lin Fong is here. Don't see her. Shangguan Furong uttered angrily. Tell her to go home. All right. The butler nodded, turned around and walked towards the door. Lin Fong was carrying a gift. When she saw that the butler had come out, she immediately went up to him. How is it, Butler Lin? Has Madame Zhao agreed to let me in? The butler shook his head and regretfully said, Madam isn't in a good mood today, you should come back another day. All right then. Since Shangguan Furong would not see her, she had to leave. As she turned to walk away, Lin Fong turned around and asked, Butler Lin, we both have the surname Lin. Maybe 100 years ago we were from the same family. You know why I came today? Do you have any news on this? Butler Lin looked back at the room, then to the outside, and in a lowered voice said, Comrade Lin Fong, I suggest you give up on the Shangguan family. I heard from Madam that the Shangguan family has found an old flame. They have met and are now discussing the wedding date. Lin Fang's heart skipped a beat. She was extremely distressed. Originally, the position of Shangguan's matron was hers, and now it's been stolen by others. Fortunately, she now had a new goal in mind. Lin Fong sighed. All right, I understand, thank you. You're welcome. After learning this news, Lin Fong with her gifts made her way back. The Anai family. After the Shangguan family left, Anai Chunggui helped Anai Tsuehua tidy up the dishes in the kitchen. Anai Chunggui said, Yang Yang's mother, I think De Hui Shangguan's family is quite nice. The old lady is kind, and her children are obedient. When do you plan to settle things with him? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 651. When did you become so close with her? _4. Even though Shangguan Furong was a bit of a handful, she was, after all, a married woman, living away from the Shangguan family. Therefore, she wouldn't have much impact on Anai Tsuehua and Shangguan Dihui's lives. Anai Tsuehua was stunned for a moment, then said, There's no rush with this matter. What's there to rush? You two are nearly 40 and 50 years old, respectively. Anai Tsuehua continued, We are both remarrying and we want the wedding to be simple. All we need to do is get a certificate from the Civil Affairs Bureau. There's nothing much to prepare for. She had everything she wanted and was already very content. How could that be acceptable? When we got married back then, all we needed was a red cloth and a red gown. But times have changed. Now the wealthy are getting married in wedding dresses, looking stunning. Yang Yang's mom. Now that you have the means, you definitely should wear a wedding dress at least once. Wedding dresses were not yet popular in the countryside of the 1980s. But in the city, everyone was wearing them. Wedding dresses had become a popular trend. And Ai Tsuehua laughed and said, "They are for the younger ones. I am not so young anymore." And Ai Chungue replied, "What does it have to do with age? If you have the means, why not wear it? If you don't wear one now, you will surely regret it later when you are older." He then added, "Yang Yang's mom, seriously, when exactly are you and Shangguan planning on holding the wedding?" Madame Shangguan is waiting for a response. And Ai Tsuehua considered for a moment, then said, Perhaps we'll hold it in early spring after the Chinese New Year. At this time of the year, Ai Yang was quite busy. Little Ai Yun was still small, and Ai Tsuehua wanted to spend more time with Shangguan Dehui before the wedding. Having experienced a failed marriage once, Ai Tsuehua was somewhat fearful of the term marriage. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Hearing this, Ai Chungue was relieved. Actually, the people of Shangguan family, including Shangguan Dihui's sister-in-law Su Lian, are all very nice. It's just that Shangguan Farong is a bit off. You know the old saying, eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. Be careful with her when you live with Shangguan Dehui. Eldest sister-in-law is just like a mother-in-law, youngest sister-in-law is like a noisy gong. This is a folk proverb. It means that the eldest sister-in-law tends to meddle in her husband's family affairs, while the youngest sister-in-law is prone to making trouble. Clearly, Shangguan Farong was no good at all. And Ai Tsuehua chuckled. "I won't be living with her anyway, so what's there to worry about?" And Ai Chungue said, "The fear is that she will be nosy and stir up trouble. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. You wouldn't want to regret it later if you end up being taken advantage of." And Ai Tsuehua nodded. And Ai Chungue continued, "Your future mother-in-law is indeed a good person. She told me today that she agrees to let Shangguan Dehui live with you after the wedding. It was rare for a mother-in-law to agree to let her son live in her daughter-in-law's house. This arrangement was hardly different from having a stay-at-home son-in-law." "Really?" And Ai Tsuehua was somewhat surprised. She was actually quite fearful of living in a large mansion of a wealthy family. "Absolutely." And Ai Chungue replied, "Madame Shangguan told me herself, but there is one condition. She hopes you two can visit her once a week." And Ai Tsuehua nodded. That would only be right. After hearing this, Ai Tsuehua felt much more relieved. As the night deepened, Ai Yang saw Mo Chishan off at the edge of the village. The nights in October were rather crisp. The moonlight cast a silvery sheen on everything. By the time they arrived at the outskirts of the village, the car hadn't arrived yet. Mo Chishan held Ai Yang's hand. "Yang." Ai Yang looked up at him, her long lashes casting dense shadows on her eyelids. Mo Chishan continued, "When are your mom and Uncle Shangguan planning on holding their wedding?" Ai Yang was taken aback. She didn't expect Mo Chishan to ask this question. She thought that Mo Chishan would have some reservations about the Shangguan family to some extent. During dinner, although Shangguan Farong didn't openly ridicule Mo Chishan anymore, she didn't show him a friendly face either. "I'm asking you a question." Mo Chishan pinched her face a bit. Ai Yang replied, "Older brother Mo, aren't you even a little bothered by Aunt Furong's attitude? Why would I care about what she does?" Mo Chishan replied, "She is her, and Uncle Shangguan is Uncle Shangguan. At the very least, the rest of the people from the Shangguan family are very polite." Ai Yang nodded. Older brother Mo, you're right. You haven't answered my question yet." Mo Chishan continued. Ai Yang gave a slight smile. "I'm not sure about that either. I don't know what my mom and Uncle Shangguan have planned." She had no objections, no matter when the wedding was held. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 652. When did you become so close with her? _5. Emochishin looked up at the bright moon and said, I hope they can get married soon. Why? And Yang was somewhat puzzled. Because then we can be together sooner. Emochishin lowered his head and unexpectedly kissed her red lips. The temperature at the corners of his mouth was slightly cool. His lips as thin as paper as though he was kissing an ice cube. And Yang pushed him away, laughing and leaving a row of teeth marks on his lips. Shameless. Who wants to be with you sooner? You haven't passed the probation period yet. Boss. Isn't it unfair? Emochishin said, feeling aggrieved. It's been a long time. Why haven't I passed the probation period? And Yang quirked an eyebrow. You dare to question the words of your superior? I dare not. Emochishin surrendered. Whatever you say is right, boss. And Yang laughed lightly, nodding and said, That sounds more like it. All thanks to you, boss. And Yang smiled faintly, her lips curling in a shallow dimple. The moonlight shone a layer of soft glow on her body. The gentle breeze blew her long hair, and she seemed like an immortal who had descended from the moon. One couldn't help but want to kiss her. Emochishin stepped forward, extended a finger to gently lift her chin. His lips parted slightly. Boss, shouldn't you reward me since I am such an obedient person? His nose was only 0.1 millimeters from hers. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New. The cold moonlight penetrated from the side, illuminating both of them, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. He is such a great charmer. And Yang looked at him quietly. Even for someone like her who had returned from the future, she found it difficult to resist Emochishin's sweet words. Such beauty is fatal to man. Their thin lips drew closer, their noses touching. Just at that moment, a harsh white light shone from a distance, followed by the sound of a car engine. And Yang quickly pushed Emochishin away, tidied up her hair, and behaved as if nothing had happened. Emochishin, caught off guard, nearly stumbled. Looking at the origin of the white light, his face turned as black as coal. The car was getting closer and closer. Wu Daming, who was in the driver's seat, got quite a scare seeing Emochishin in such a state. Oh shit, how terrifying. Who had the guts to upset Emochishin? Was it Yang? Did they have a falling out? Looking at Yang, she seemed just as usual. What on earth is going on? Wu Daming parked the car and got out with a goofy grin on his face. Good evening to brother 6 and sister-in-law. Good evening. And Yang's tone was indifferent. Emochishin's entire face screamed unhappiness. He had learned about the French kiss from a book yesterday, but hadn't had the opportunity to put it into practice. Finally, when there was a perfect chance, 6 brother, what's wrong? When Wu Daming walked up to Emochishin, he asked, Are you feeling unwell? Emochishin forced a smile. I'm fine. I'm very well. Wu Daming scratched his head innocently. Oh, it's good if you're fine, brother 6. Let's go back then. Okay. Emochishin nodded. I'll go back first then, see you, big brother Emo. And Yang waved at Emochishin. Emochishin then said, Light the way for your sister-in-law with the headlights. Okay. Wu Daming nodded, ran to the car, switched on the headlights, illuminating the road in front of him as bright as day. Watching Yang's figure disappear by the roadside, Emochishin then got in the car. He took out a cigarette from his pocket, held it between his thin lips and said, Daming. Wu Daming responded and turned his head. What's up, brother 6? Emochishin continued. There have been a few minor issues with the engineering department in F continent. You will go on my behalf to take a look. Along the way, take charge of supervising the work. In 2 months, I will arrange for someone suitable to take over your job. F continent? Upon hearing this word, Wu Daming's brows furrowed deeply. The sun in F continent is scorching, the weather hot and conditions harsh. Spending a day there would peel off a layer of skin. If he stays for 2 months, he would be so sunburnt that even his mother won't recognize him when he returns. He hasn't even gotten married yet. Wu Daming was almost in tears. 6 brother, What did I do wrong? Mo Chishan took a drag from his cigarette. You didn't do anything wrong. You are just too outstanding, too excellent. What? Wu Daming was stunned. Was Mo Chishan praising him? There's no one else but you who can handle this job around me. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 653. When did you become so close with her? _6. Really? Truly? Wu Daming asked in surprise. Mo Chishan gave a slight nod. Of course. 6 brother. You're the best. Wu Daming said confidently. Don't worry. I won't let you down. I believe you. Naive Wu Daming didn't realize he was being schemed by Mo Chishan. He packed up his things the very next day and happily boarded the plane to the M continent. With time, the business of the Color of Heaven and Earth restaurant kept booming. Due to the expensive dishes, there weren't people waiting in line every day, but it was always full house. Besides, more than 30 of the 50 membership cards had been successfully sold. Now, it was the first choice for high-end banquets. Not only did the Color of Heaven restaurant have a good environment and service, but the food was also excellent, far superior to other restaurants. Mr. Wang, this way. Shangguan Su led a few middle-aged men in suits inside. Among them, there were a few foreign men. Welcome, gentlemen. Please come in. The greeter greeted warmly from inside. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. As soon as they stepped inside, they were dazzled. Nobody expected the interior decoration of the restaurant to be so stunning. It exuded an ancient charm everywhere. It gave an illusion of stepping back in time. The man referred to as Mr. Wang exclaimed, "When did such a restaurant open in Beijing? I had no idea." The foreign men also gasped in astonishment. This restaurant was simply too stunning. This expression arose spontaneously, without any embellishment. Shangguan Su said, "Given that you're not often in the country, it's normal not to know." Mr. Wang turned to Shangguan Su, asking, "Who's the owner of this restaurant?" Someone capable of opening this kind of restaurant in Beijing must be an influential figure. It seems there is going to be a shift in power in Beijing. Who exactly was this rising star? Shangguan Su shook his head. "I'm not quite sure." Mr. Wang was amazed. "Is there something you don't know?" As the head of the party, if a restaurant loan application is made, it has to be reviewed by Shangguan Su. Could it be that this rising star didn't apply for a loan at all? There were many families in Beijing who could open restaurants without loans, but they wouldn't be low-key. Shangguan Su nodded. "Indeed, it's a shame." Actually, Shangguan Su was also very curious. Who was this genius who could create such a restaurant and provide such service? One could say that once you visited this restaurant, you would lose interest in others. Mr. Wang continued, "Who ran this restaurant before?" "Chun Jitsong," Shangguan Su answered. Mr. Wang thought for a moment, then said, "The young heir of the Chun family?" "Yes." Shangguan Su nodded. Mr. Wang smiled. It turned out that this heir of the Chun family studied hotel management abroad, but he was defeated by a nameless individual. Shangguan Su commented, "One should not equate theoretical knowledge with practice. No matter how well you study, it's ultimately just book knowledge." Mr. Wang nodded. "You're right." With that, Mr. Wang was even more curious about the mysterious rising star. While they were chatting, they kept walking inside. "Please, gentlemen, take a seat over here." A waiter dressed in Han clothing led them to a booth with lanterns. Shangguan Su said, "We're here to discuss business. It might not be convenient downstairs. Can we go upstairs?" "I'm sorry, sir, but the private rooms on the second floor are fully booked," replied the waiter. "What about the third floor?" Shangguan Su asked next. "The upstairs is exclusively for VIP customers." The waiter then explained the procedure to become a VIP customer to Shangguan Su and the others. This was Shangguan Zu's second visit to the restaurant, and it was the first time he had heard about the VIP system. This VIP system sounded quite fresh, but the membership fees were relatively high. A card cost more than 800 yuan, and there was a minimum spending requirement each month. Mr. Wang nodded. This owner is interesting. After obtaining a membership, Shangguan Su and his party proceeded to the third floor. The third floor was like a hidden paradise, presenting a visual feast. Mr. Wang commented, "The over 800 yuan is worth it. Waiter, please sign me up for a membership card. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 654. When did you become so close with her? _7 In just a short time, 2 membership cards were successfully sold. When the ordered dishes were served, everyone was too preoccupied with eating to even discuss business matters, because the taste was simply too incredible. Furthermore, the dishes were a feast for the eyes, nose, and tongue. Mr. Wang remarked, "The food I had at the state banquet in Q country doesn't even compare to this." Initially, they thought that this restaurant with its great service and beautiful decor would probably only have mediocre food. To their surprise, the dishes were astonishingly delicious. Even a simple dish like vegetable tofu soup had a unique taste. The flavors lingered on their tongues. The foreign guests almost wished they could swallow their tongues along with the food. After the meal, there were exquisite desserts. Normally, men did not care much for desserts. However, today a small piece of tiramisu had them bending over backward. It was simply too delicious, wasn't it? The group had arrived at 11 in the morning. After dining and discussing business, they didn't leave until 4 in the afternoon. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Omicron, Mr. Wang. Well, consider the cooperation matter settled then. Yes. Mr. Wang handshake with Shangguan Su. They continued their conversation as they headed downstairs. While descending the stairs, Shangguan Su suddenly spotted a familiar figure. "Brother!" Ni Yang approached to greet him. Since the relationship between Shangguan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua had been confirmed, Ni Yang had also started calling him brother. Seeing Shangguan Su here, of course, she would take the initiative to say hello. Yang. Shangguan Su nodded, turned to Mr. Wang, and introduced, "This is my sister Ni Yang. Yang, this is Mr. Wang." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Wang." In the catering business, etiquette is paramount, so Ni Yang extended her right hand first. "Hello." Mr. Wang looked at Shangguan Su in surprise. "I didn't expect you to have such a beautiful sister." Mr. Wang knew that Shangguan Su had a twin sister named Shangguan Shi, whom he had met before. Although Shangguan Shi was also pretty, she was not as stunning as the girl in front of him now. Since Ni Yang's surname was Ni, she certainly wasn't his biological sister. Shangguan Su modestly replied, "Mr. Wang, you flatter her." Ni Yang added, "Brother, I have some things to do, so I won't disturb you." "All right." Shangguan Su nodded. Ni Yang politely nodded to the group and continued to the third floor. The third floor was designated for VIP customers. Could it be that Ni Yang was also a VIP customer here? Shangguan Su contemplated. Ni Yang ran 4 milk tea shops and noodle restaurants, totaling 8 stores, and their monthly profits were unimaginable. Being a VIP client of this restaurant was perfectly normal. Actually, Ni Yang was here to check the accounts. The office was conveniently located at the far end of the third floor. Mr. Wang was a highly influential person in their circle. The people accompanying him today were also not ordinary. After their glowing recommendations, the restaurant became quickly popular in their circle. The remaining membership cards were all sold within a day, and the second-floor private rooms even had to be booked 2 days in advance. In a short time, the restaurant made quite a stir in the industry. Many people were itching to try, wishing to emulate their success. Since she injured her face, Shangguan Furong had not left the house for 3 days. Only after the marks on her face had completely disappeared, she arranged to meet Jia Jinjin and other wealthy housewives for a game of mahjong and afternoon tea. Just as Shangguan Furong left in her carriage, Lin Fong arrived. It was the butler who received Lin Fong as usual. "Comrade Lin Fong, your timing is quite unlucky. The lady of the house just left," he said. Lin Fong replied, regret written all over her face. "Ah, really? When will Mrs. Zhao be back?" The butler shook his head. "I'm not entirely sure." "Who is it?" Madame Zhao emerged from inside the house. The butler answered, "Madame, this is the lady of the house's friend, Comrade Lin Fong." Lin Fong said with a smile, "Hello, madam." "Oh, Xiaolin, do come in and have a seat." Madame Zhao invited Lin Fong inside warmly. "All right?" Lin Fong nodded, following Madame Zhao into the house. The butler was puzzled. Since when did Lin Fong and Madame Zhao become so familiar? Meanwhile, Shangguan Farong was busy playing mahjong with a few wealthy ladies. She had lost several rounds consecutively. On top of that, one was boasting about her newly purchased anti-aging cream with skin rejuvenating properties, and another was showing off her new acquisitions. Shangguan Farong was so irritated that she nearly overturned the mahjong table. "What's going on with you today, Farong? Your luck is so bad. Are you bothered by something?" Jia Jinjin asked. Shangguan Farong drew a mahjong tile. "I have been dealing with a troublesome matter recently." "What is it? Do tell." Jia Jinjin was extremely curious. It was well known that Shangguan Farong held a high status in her home. Neither her mother-in-law at the top nor her husband at the bottom dared to upset her. And now she was having troubles? It was unheard of. Just unbelievable. East wind. Another wealthy lady tossed a mahjong tile into the river and added, "Exactly. Do tell us. Perhaps we might be able to help." These people, they're not really interested in helping her. All they're waiting for is a good laugh. Shangguan Farong calmly eyed each person and continued, "Actually, it's not my problem. This issue involves my friend's daughter. She's quite rebellious. At the tender age of 18 or 19, she's already dating and looking to settle down. What's more, the guy she's with has a notorious reputation." Shangguan Farong cleverly turned an Yang into her friend's daughter. Jia Jinjin commented, "Having a clueless daughter is really unfortunate for your friend." The others agreed. When stuck with such a clueless daughter, there's nothing to do but accept your fate. "Actually, I have a solution." The wealthy lady with curled hair spread her mahjong tiles on the table. "I made a flower upon a Kong. I've won. Pay up, pay up." The other three tossed their money into the river. Shangguan Farong said, "Manlin, you say you have a solution. What is it?" The wealthy lady with curled hair continued, "Why not introduce her to someone better? With parents' orders and matchmakers' words, she can't possibly refuse, right?" Shangguan Farong laughed immediately. "You're right. I'll discuss this with my friend." Indeed, why hadn't she thought of this solution herself? She could introduce Yang to someone far superior, a man from a background that matches the Shangguan family's status. At that time, Yang would undoubtedly be grateful to her. Shangguan Farong's mood immediately improved. Her improved mood brought better luck, and she won several rounds in a row. The ladies once again badgered Shangguan Farong for a treat. "So it's the end of the month and money is tight. Farong, you've won so much today, you must treat us to a good meal." Shangguan Farong laughed. "Look at you guys, casting your ambitions so low. I've always said that a woman should control the household finances. How can you let a man be in charge?" Among these wealthy women, including Jia Jinjin, who wasn't reliant on her husband for pocket money, Shangguan Farong was the only one distributing money to her husband. Everyone was green with envy. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 655. Seeking trouble at your doorstep. Letting off steam. Mr. 1-inch Farong. Oh, how we all envy you. You've got such a good life. You can make your husband dance to your tunes. Exactly. Farong, how do you manage to do it? Can you teach the rest of us? In an era where the concept of men being superior to women hasn't faded entirely, how many women could be like Shangguan Furong? The group mumbled in admiration of Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong herself enjoyed the envious glances from everyone else and laughed. There's not much to it, really. You all just need to be a bit more dominant, don't be so submissive. What's there to fear about men? Furong, you make it sound so simple. Do you think everyone's husband is like your Zhaoxin? Someone who tolerates all hits and bullying. As for my husband, I just hope he doesn't throw tantrums and cut my pocket money. I would be thankful for that. Shangguan Furong laughingly said, True, my husband, Zhaoxin, is like a mouse seeing a cat when he sees me. I call him to the east and he wouldn't dream of even looking to the south. Everyone envied Shangguan Furong and eventually the topic came back to food and they started discussing where to eat. Speaking of which, I heard that there's a unique restaurant in Beijing that serves great food, with enthusiastic service and decoration like the Yaoqi Wonderland, said a lady rich in curls. Really? Jia Xinjin asked. Indeed. A friend of mine told me the desserts there are wonderful. They have mousse cakes and tiramisu and so on. Source web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New. Omicron. Even my husband mentioned it. He went there with a certain Mr. Wang. Oh, and Furong, your nephew Shangguan Su was also there. Shangguan Furong smirked. What's so magical about this restaurant? Is it really that exaggerated? I think it's called Heavenly Fragrance. It's right around Yurtist Road. Shangguan Furong stood up from the chair. All right, let's go to that Heavenly Fragrance place then. Oh, you are saying Heavenly Fragrance? Yes, I have also heard of this restaurant. Jia Zhenjin continued. It's terrific. They have this third floor dedicated exclusively for VIP customer service. Only people of status and prestige in Beijing can get in there. I wish I could get a membership card from them. Shangguan Furong laughed. I've never seen such a restaurant in Beijing. Let's check it out and maybe also get a membership card. Jia Xinjin said. But I've heard that the membership cards for Heavenly Fragrance have been sold out. It's impossible to apply now. Shangguan Furong snorted softly. With money, what membership card can't you get? It's just a restaurant, what's the big deal? They left the house and walked towards Heavenly Fragrance together. Heavenly Fragrance is located in the busiest street on Yurtist Road. The signboard carries for powerful characters. There were no people waiting outside the door. Shangguan Furong snorted with contempt. Wasn't there supposed to be a queue? It seems deserted. Jia Xinjin laughed. Definitely. The so-called Heavenly Fragrance is nothing special. The other two also looked unimpressed. So this was the much-hyped Heavenly Fragrance. They only realized what a bustling place it was after they stepped through the door of Heavenly Fragrance. In the restaurant, there were separate outer and inner halls. A light veil divided the outside and inside halls. Subtle sandalwood incense was burning in the corner. A young woman dressed in hanfu was sitting before a spectacular pile of leaves, playing a pipa. It felt as alluring as a woman hidden behind her pipa. Though the queue was in the outer hall, the serene environment didn't make it seem crowded or noisy. Instead, it was quite charming and made people linger. Oh my gosh, there really is a queue, Jia Xinjin exclaimed. This place is so beautiful. Even the waitstaff's clothes look pretty. Even Shangguan Furong was taken aback by the place. It was indeed different from other restaurants. This way, please. Is it a party of 4? A waitress in hanfu approached them. Yes. Shangguan Furong nodded. There are 4 of us. The waitress led them to a table. We'll have to wait a little longer. We are booked on the inside. As soon as they sat down, someone provided them with tea and sunflower seeds. Hey, are these ancient Chinese clothes you're wearing? Jia Xinjin asked. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 656. Asking for trouble at your doorstep. Venting your anger. _2. This is the Han Chinese traditional costume, the Chiru Hanfu. Jia Xinjin nodded. Oh, where did you buy this one? It's so gorgeous. It makes her want to buy a set. Our boss had this custom made at a factory. She personally designed the patterns and styles. The traditional Chiru Hanfu has wide sleeves, but we have modified it to narrow sleeves for serving convenience. Your boss is quite proficient, Jia Xinjin exclaimed. By the way, this is your queue number. The waiter handed Shangguan Furong a white strip of paper. The paper was written number 58. What does this 58 mean? Shangguan Furong asked. The waiter explained, you are the 58th group of customers. There are 57 groups ahead of you. 57 groups are waiting ahead. Shangguan Furong exclaimed in surprise. You must be joking. Even if each group spends half an hour eating, they still have to wait 28 hours. The waiter laughed and said, don't worry. Our table turnover rate is quite fast, and the interior is spacious too. Sometimes, when one group finishes, several tables are immediately available. You probably only have to wait for a couple of hours. Shangguan Furong couldn't even wait for 10 to 20 minutes, let alone a couple of hours. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. Shangguan Furong continued, didn't I hear that you have some kind of VIP membership? Give us each one. With an apologetic look, the waiter said, I'm sorry, comrade. Our VIP membership cards are all sold out. Frankly, their staff never imagined that the membership cards, priced over 800 yuan each, would one day be sold out, even creating a shortage. Shangguan Furong asked again, how much is your membership card each? 888, the waiter replied. 888 to ordinary people is astronomical, but for the wealthy it's just a meal money, nothing more. Shangguan Furong pulled out a wad of bills from her wallet. Here, I have 1,600 yuan. Set me up with your membership card. Sorry, comrade. It's not about the money. There are many rich people in Beijing who can readily offer thousands, but that still wouldn't get them a card. Our restaurant's membership card is limited. We are no longer issuing new ones. Limited edition again. She expected skincare products to be limited editions, but never thought restaurant dining would be limited too. Shangguan Furong pulled out another stack of bills. How about these? The waiter repeated his previous statement. Jia Xinjin said, young lady, just tell us how much you want. Okay? Our Furong lacks nothing, least of all money. The two rich ladies next to her chipped in. That's right. Furong lacks nothing, especially not money. A smile slowly formed on Shangguan Furong's face. Comrades, this isn't about money. Our restaurant only issued 50 VIP cards. If you want to be members, you need to wait and see if anyone returns their cards. Typically, no one returns their cards. Given the booming business of the Gustianxiang, being a VIP customer and dining on the third floor has become a status symbol. In Beijing, it's rare for any high-end restaurant to achieve such popularity. The success of Gustianxiang has disrupted the traditional food market. Frustrated by the membership process, an angry Shangguan Furong asked, do members still need to line up? Not required. The waiter shook his head. We have a designated VIP reception room. Shangguan Furong is the type who wants more when she realizes something isn't easily attainable. Call your manager over. I need to speak with him. The waiter looked at Shangguan Furong and, noting her attire, realized she was no ordinary individual. He begrudgingly summoned the general manager. The general manager is Gu Lanji. She was a talent that Ni Yang had poached from a state-run large restaurant. Hello. Gu Lanji greeted politely. As a general manager, Gu Lanji was not wearing hanfu, but a standard suit, a pencil skirt, and black high heels. With a walkie-talkie on her ear, she gave people the impression of a business elite. I want a membership card. Name your price, Shangguan Furong said to Gu Lanji. Gu Lanji raised an apologetic smile. Ma'am, I think there may be some misunderstanding. The memberships of our restaurant are limited. We currently don't have additional spaces. No matter how much money you offer, our answer remains the same. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 657. Looking for trouble at your doorstep. Letting off your steam. _3. Limited edition products, if sold exceptionally, would disrupt the market rules. If the first customer is an exception, and the second and third customers are not, it would offend the customers. If supplied unlimitedly, VIP cards would lose their significance and become cheapened. National Beauty treats all its customers the same. I'm so sorry. Gu Lanji bowed to Shangguan Furong before turning around and leaving. Shangguan Furong wanted to say something else, but Jia Xinjin tugged at her arm. Forget it, Furong. I've heard that the VIP card of National Beauty is hard to get. How about we just wait in line for a while? No matter how much Shangguan Furong kicked up a fuss, they wouldn't issue her one. Reluctantly, she sat down. The wealthy woman with curled hair said, "Don't worry. My husband has been here with Mr. Wang before. He may be able to borrow a card from a friend. When he gets the card, he'll take you all to the third floor to experience it." Everyone has a sense of curiosity. The VIP lounge on the third floor was touted as something extraordinary, and everyone wanted to experience it. Upon hearing this, Jia Zhenshin's eyes lit up. She clung to the rich woman's arm and said, "That sounds great, Iyun. We're all depending on you. You must keep your word. Don't sneak over there on your own when the time comes." Zhao Iyun laughed. "No problem. It's a piece of cake for me." Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Upon hearing this, Shangguan Furong felt even more distressed. She was supposed to be the one everyone was fawning over, so how did it become Zhao Iyun all of a sudden? No, this can't be. She must also get a VIP card. Only then she could regain her status. After all, Zhao Iyun was only borrowing from someone else. National Beauty had indeed a quick turnover rate, so they only waited for about an hour and a half before a table became available. The four wealthy women ordered 8 dishes, 3 desserts, and also ordered a strawberry milk tea. These wealthy women were used to eating exotic dishes, but this time, they were conquered by some seemingly ordinary food. Having the chance to eat such delicious food, let alone waiting in line for an hour and a half, they wouldn't mind waiting 10 hours. After leaving National Beauty, Shangguan Furong returned to Zhao family's residence. Lin Fong was sitting properly in the living room. Seeing Shangguan Furong enter, she immediately stood up and said with a smile on her face, "Mrs. Zhao, you're back. Lin Fong? How come you're here?" After all, Lin Fong was once going to be her sister-in-law, so Shangguan Furong had a reasonably good impression of her. Lin Fong smiled. "Mrs. Zhao, I am here about that matter as usual." Of course, Shangguan Furong knew what that matter referred to. "Lin Fong, my brother has already found a suitable partner. You can stop thinking about that matter." Although she did not like Anai Tsuehua at all, she would not show any dislike in front of outsiders. Lin Fong looked disappointed inside. "It seems that I am not destined to be with Mr. Shangguan. Mrs. Zhao, thank you for your consideration during this time. By the way, this is a token of my gratitude. Please accept it." As she finished speaking, Lin Fong put the gift box she was holding on the coffee table. The gift box was light green, very high-end and classy. Shangguan Furong instantly recognized it as the new Ice Skin Jade Complexion product. Although it's not the Supreme Edition, it was still a limited edition, take it back. I really can't accept such a gift. Even though Shangguan Furong really wanted the limited edition product, she also deeply understood the principle of no reward without merit. "Mrs. Zhao, I've been working with you for a long time, and I think you're a very nice person. I feel a connection with you. I want to give you the Ice Skin Jade Complexion not for any other reason, just to make friends with you." After a pause, Lin Fong added, "Mrs. Zhao, you were born noble, and there's a natural grace about your every movement. Being your friend would be my good fortune. Of course, it would be my honor if you accept my gift." Lin Fang's words successfully lifted Shangguan Furong into the clouds. Who doesn't like a little flattery? Of course, in this era, there's no such thing as rainbow farts. This is called flattery. Got to say, Lin Feng accurately pinpointed Shangguan Furong's Achilles heel. Why not accept a gift and listen to someone flattering you at the same time? Shangguan Furong then said, in that case, I will accept it. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 658. Inviting trouble. Venting for you. _4. What a shame that Lin Feng couldn't become my sister-in-law. If Lin Feng had become her sister-in-law, would she have been slapped by Shangguan Dehui for no reason? Further, Lin Feng's lineage is many times more prestigious than Ni Kuihua's. Lin Feng smiled and said, Mrs. Zhao, I knew you would be a good person. Shangguan Furong glanced at the gift box of exquisite beauty products, then turned to the servants standing by, unhappily saying, What are you doing? How could you not even pour a cup of tea for Lin Feng? Is this how you treat guests? I'm sorry, madam. I'll go pour the tea right away. Shangguan Furong smiled at Lin Feng. Servants are just servants. They have no discerning eyes. Don't mind them. Lin Feng replied, As long as you accept my gift, I'm already very happy. Why would I mind? Lin Feng nodded her head. She was very satisfied with Lin Feng's cooperative attitude, and it was quite gratifying to feel superior. After some conversation, the two of them had developed a considerable bond. When Lin Feng was about to leave, Shangguan Furong invited her to come over and play more often, with a smile. After Lin Feng left. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Shangguan Furong recalled Ni Yang's matter, and the smile on her face gradually faded. She ordered the butler, Prepare a list of all the unmarried men in our circle for me. Although the butler was slightly puzzled, he still did as he was told. Before long, Shangguan Furong had the list. After careful selection, Shangguan Furong finally chose a suitable candidate. She called Zhao Shun over and threw the document at him. What do you think of Qian Weiye? Zhao Shun was somewhat puzzled about Shangguan Furong's remark. Furong, what do you mean? Do you think he would match Ni Yang? Shangguan Furong continued. Zhao Shun said in surprise, Furong, are you trying to play matchmaker for them? That seems a bit inappropriate. The Qian family holds a significant status in Beijing, but Qian Weiye's daughter Qian Shaodai is the same age as Ni Yang, and there were rumors that his ex-wife was even the victim of domestic violence. What's inappropriate? Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. Qian family is wealthy and Weiye is capable. Marrying him would be Ni Yang's fortune from a past life. It's still uncertain whether they would favor her. Even if Qian Weiye isn't perfect, he is still much better than Mo Qishan. Plus, Qian Weiye is the head of the family. With the Qian family's support, both the Shangguan and Zhao families would benefit. What does that deadbeat Mo Qishan brings to the table? Once the elderly lady and gentleman Mo passed away, his good days would be over. The Shangguan family couldn't be expected to support him. Could they? Ni Yang just wanted to marry a wealthy man, didn't she? Qian Weiye has plenty of money. He could certainly satisfy Ni Yang. Zhao Xin made a difficult attempt at persuading. But Qian Weiye is much older than Ni Yang. His daughter, Qian Shaodai, is already 19 years old. Ni Yang is just 18 this year. Isn't this just throwing her to the wolves? Shangguan Furong said, Mo Qishan is also 28, isn't he? And doesn't Ni Yang like older men? Furong. This is a bit improper. What do you know? Shangguan Furong narrowed her eyes. If Qian Weiye takes a liking to Ni Yang, she should thank her lucky stars. You have no idea how many girls would give anything to marry into the Qian family. Zhao Xin still looked troubled. Shut up. Shangguan Furong rolled her eyes at Zhao Xin. Zhao Xin was scared into silence. Shangguan Furong continued. Make me a cup of coffee. Ah, right. Zhao Xin turned and walked towards the door. Shangguan Furong leaned back against the headboard, thinking about Ni Yang's business while savoring her coffee. and did not go to sleep until midnight. Early the next morning, Shangguan Furong made a trip to the Qian family. The old lady Qian was over 90 this year but had retained excellent hearing and vision. She was incredibly energetic. I wondered why the magpies in my garden were chirping this morning. It turns out that a distinguished guest has come. Old lady Qian, you still remember me? Shangguan Furong was pleasantly surprised. But I did indeed come to bring you some good news today. Old lady Qian laughed and said, You are the youngest daughter of the Shangguan family. How can I not remember? Everyone in the privileged circle has some pull. They chatted a bit about other matters before Shangguan Furong broached the main subject. Hearing this, old lady Qian asked, How old is the girl this year? Can she still bear children? Qian Weiye only had a daughter, Qian Xiaodai. The old lady Qian had been dreaming of holding another great-grandson. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, She can bear children. She's still very young. She's only 18 this year. It wouldn't matter if she wants to give birth to 10 or 8 kids. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 659. Seeking trouble at your door. Venting your frustration. _5. Oh, really? There was a glint in old lady Qian's eyes, which weren't cloudy like one might expect. I wonder where the girl is from? Shangguan Furong sighed softly. To tell you something that may make you laugh, my brother has found someone recently. Shangguan Furong briefly introduced Ni Yang's circumstances to old lady Qian. After all, it can't be kept a secret once the two families become related by marriage. It's better to be honest. Upon hearing this, old lady Qian said, Why don't you bring her over for me to meet her? Even though Ni Yang is Shangguan Dihui's stepdaughter, she's still acceptable when considering her status. After all, Qian Weiye isn't young anymore. Shangguan Furong then asked, When would you be available? Old lady Qian laughed. I'm an old woman with nothing to do all day. I'm free anytime. Perfect. Then let's leave it at that. Good. Old lady Qian nodded. Shangguan Furong left the Qian family's house with a cheerful smile on her face. After leaving the Qian's home, Shangguan Furong decided to lower her status and dropped by the Ni family's house. When she arrived, Ni Yang wasn't home. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. Seeing Shangguan Furong, Ni Tsuehua received her warmly. This visitor was, after all, Shangguan Dihui's sister. Furong, come and sit over here. Shangguan Furong stood there. No need to be so formal. I only have a few words to say and then I'll leave. Go ahead. Shangguan Furong continued. Around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, ask Ni Yang to come to my house to see me. Ni Tsuehua frowned slightly. What do you need to see Yang Yang for? Shangguan Furong initially wanted to lose her temper. Who was this rural woman to question her? It was already a favor to Ni Tsuehua that she had come here to the countryside. But in the blink of an eye, Shangguan Furong changed her expression and laughed. Sister Daya, look at your questioning. Im Yang Yang's Aunt aren't I? What could I possibly do to harm her? She couldn't fall out with Ni Tsuehua before the matter was settled. Ni Tsuehua said, If you don't state what it's about, how can I tell Yang Yang? She always felt that Shangguan Furong had no good intentions. This future little aunt didn't seem like an easy person to deal with. Shangguan Furong's eyes shifted. She then said, It's like this, Sister Daya. The mother of a friend of mine has recently been unwell. Yang Yang is a doctor, right? So I was going to have her come to look at the old woman. Is that so? Ni Tsuehua asked. Of course. Shangguan Furong laughed. You're not suggesting that I would sell Yang Yang, are you? After Ni Yang returned home, Ni Tsuehua told her all about it. Yang Yang, I always feel like Shangguan Furong was acting a bit strange today. Maybe you should not go. Ni Yang smiled faintly. An army's approach can be deflected, just as the flow of water can be diverted. Some matters can't be avoided. And I would like to see what kind of medicine Shangguan Furong has in her gourd. Just be careful then. Hum. And Ai Yang nodded. At 10 o'clock the next morning, Ai Yang went to her appointment on time. The Zhao family's house wasn't hard to find. Ai Yang rode her bicycle there. When she arrived, Shangguan Furong was already at the door waiting for her. Seeing Ai Yang, Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Poor people are always poor. She even arrived on a bicycle. Isn't she ashamed? Don't you usually love wearing cheongsams? Why didn't you wear one today? Ai Yang was dressed in a very ordinary outfit of jeans and a t-shirt that day. Cheongsams are so pretty, they even highlight the figure. The Chen family are wealthy and esteemed. Ai Yang was dressed so plainly, what if the Chens don't take to her? Ai Yang replied casually, "What's wrong with me wearing this?" Shangguan Furong continued, "Never mind. Let's go. Remember to speak less after we get there." Ai Yang looked good no matter what she wore, so Shangguan Furong didn't bother telling her to change. The two got into the car and shortly after, they arrived at the Chen family's house. The Chen family's house was situated in a rich community, and the villa was even more luxurious than those of the Zhao and Shangguan families. As Shangguan Furong walked, she watched Ai Yang's expression. She was hoping that Ai Yang would be amazed by such a luxurious building. Only by fascinating Ai Yang could Shangguan Furong get the upper hand. However, Ai Yang remained serene. Her clear face held no expression at all. Ha! What an actress! Shangguan Furong had a mocking look on her face. Ai Yang must have screamed internally several times already. Hadn't she? A vain girl like her. Doesn't she just love money? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 660. Bringing trouble to your doorstep. Venting your anger. _6. Who knows? She might even be deliriously happy once Chen Weiye takes notice of her. Upon seeing Shangguan Furong bringing Ai Yang, the butler came out to warmly welcome them. "Mrs. Zhao is here. Please come inside." The two entered the hall. Mrs. Chen and Chen Weiye were sitting on the couch in the living room. "Furong is here. Please have a seat." Mrs. Chen promptly stood up from the sofa. Shangguan Furong then introduced, "Mrs. Chen, this is my niece, Ai Yang. Yang. This is Mrs. Chen and Mr. Chen." Ai Yang politely greeted, "Mrs. Chen, Mr. Chen." The moment Chen Weiye laid his eyes on Ai Yang, he was stunned. Stunning. Incredibly stunning. Chen Weiye was very pleased with Ai Yang and voluntarily introduced himself. Yang, I'm Chen Weiye. You can simply call me Weiye." Ai Yang slightly frowned. "I apologize, Mr. Chen, but am not used to strangers calling me by my nickname. You can just use my full name." Shangguan Furong's face turned cold. She sharply turned towards Ai Yang, flashing her a warning look. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. The unworthy girl. She then laughed and said, "Mr. Chen, please do not mind. Yang has always been straightforward." "Why would I?" responded Chen Weiye. "The young people these days have their own temperaments. After all, a lifeless fish isn't entertaining. Is it? Glad you don't mind." Being as insightful as Ai Yang, she had already figured out Shangguan Furong's true intentions. She turned to her and asked, "Aunt Furong, you mentioned there was an elderly person seriously ill here who needed my medical help. Is Mrs. Chen the person you were referring to?" Hearing this, the smile on Shangguan Furong's face immediately froze. What is this insolent girl talking about? Mrs. Chen also looked displeased. As one grows old, they pay great heed to such matters. And here Ai Yang was, implying that she was sick. This seemed nothing less than a curse. Ai Yang continued, "Aunt Furong, didn't you tell me Mrs. Chen was seriously ill and bedridden? How come you're speechless now?" Mrs. Chen's face grew angrier with each passing moment. How dared Shangguan Furong deceive her like this? "Shut up," Shangguan Furong barked. "When did I ever say such thing? If those weren't your words, then why would I bring this medicine box with me?" and Ai Yang glanced to the medicine box slung over her left shoulder. Shangguan Furong immediately tried to explain to Mrs. Qian. Mrs. Qian, let me explain. That's not the way things are. Before Mrs. Qian could speak, Qian Weiye intervened. Mrs. Zhao, there's no need for explanations. I understand. Mom, please bring out the item. Although Mrs. Qian wasn't pleased, when her son spoke, she had no choice but to comply. At least Ai Yang was pretty. As for her temper, it could be adjusted over time. Mrs. Qian took off the silver bracelet from her wrist and handed it to Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye handed it to Shangguan Furong. Mrs. Zhao, this bracelet is especially meant for my future wife. Upon hearing that, Shangguan Furong was over the moon. She never had expected that even after Ai Yang's display, the Qian family would still favor her. This was truly a fantastic turn of events. Shangguan Furong happily accepted the bracelet, smiling. Mr. Zhao, I guess our families will officially be related from now on. And Ai Yang chuckled. I never thought Aunt Furong would consider remarriage. As your junior, I wish you and Mr. Qian a happy and fruitful life together. Those words turned everyone's faces sour, especially Shangguan Furong and Qian Weiye. Qian Weiye was just in his 40s, and Ai Yang daringly referred to him as grandfather. Shangguan Furong was seething. Who was Qian Weiye? Did he think he deserved her? Ai Yang, the abominable girl, was clearly getting out of hand. Shangguan Furong went to Ai Yang's side. What are you blabbering about? This bracelet is a gift from Mr. Qian to you. Considering the wealth and status of Mr. Qian, it's your good fortune that he's interested in you. Today I will decide on your behalf that you will be engaged to Mr. Qian. Shangguan Furong was informing Ai Yang, not negotiating. This marriage was beneficial for both the Shangguan and Zhao families. Ai Yang should be grateful and had no right to object. You'll decide. Ai Yang said with a faint smile. Since when did my affairs become your business? Be clear of your place. Just because I called you aunt doesn't mean you get to act like an elder. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 661. Courting trouble at your doorstep, letting you vent. _7 If it weren't for Shangguan Dehui, Ai Yang wouldn't even bother with Shangguan Furong. You, how dare you talk to me like this? Shangguan Furong was so angry that her blood was boiling. She thrust the bracelet in front of Ai Yang. Ai Yang, let me tell you, you have to accept this bracelet today whether you want it or not. Otherwise, your mother can forget about ever entering the Shangguan family's mansion. Who does Ai Yang think she is to look down on Qian Weiye? Ai Yang sticks out her hand and takes the bracelet. Seeing this, Shangguan Furong felt relieved. She always knew that Ai Yang, that greedy girl, would definitely not be able to resist Qian Weiye, the wealthy man. But before Shangguan Furong could react, the silver bracelet was slipped onto her wrist by Ai Yang. Ai Yang smiled. Wish you both a long and happy life together. I'm leaving now. With that said, Ai Yang turned around and walked away. Shangguan Furong was furious. She tried to take off the bracelet, but it had already been tightened by Ai Yang to the size of her wrist. At this point, it was impossible to remove it. The bracelet was supposed to be adjustable, but Ai Yang must have tampered with it. Now the bracelet was stuck as if it was glued. No matter how hard she tried, it just wouldn't loosen. Shangguan Furong's hand was even scraped, but she couldn't remove the bracelet. She angrily looked at Qian Weiye. What are you standing there for? I've already promised her to you. Go get her back. Source, web novel. Updated on new. This Qian Weiye is just as useless as Zhao Shen. Oh, okay. Qian Weiye hurriedly chased after her. Ai Yang had just walked out of the mansion's main entrance. Qian Weiye came from behind and pounced on her. Yang. Ai Yang was on guard earlier. She stepped aside, causing Qian Weiye to miss and fall face first onto the ground. Ai Yang, Shangguan Furong has already decided to betroth you to me. You are now my fiancé. You will marry me one day. You can't run away. And I Yang looked down at Qian Weiye. Mr. Qian, you're mistaken. It's me who betrothed Shangguan Furong to you. After all, Shangguan Furong is the one who accepted your family heirloom. Qian Weiye snorted. What makes you think you can decide Shangguan Furong's fate? And I Yang nodded slightly. That's a very good question. Then may I ask what gives Shangguan Furong the right to decide my fate? Mr. Zhao, be careful. I might report your family to the police station for trafficking innocent girls. With that said, and I Yang turned away and left. Qian Weiye angrily grabbed a handful of soil, rose, and walked back to the house. Shangguan Furong, are you playing games with me on purpose? Qian Weiye grabbed Shangguan Furong by the collar. He had heard that Qian Weiye was a bastard, even beating his own wife to death. How could Shangguan Furong not be scared? This was not going according to her plan. She had thought that An Yang, just a village girl, would be easy to manipulate. She didn't expect that An Yang had slipped out of her control. That An Yang, that shameless girl. How ungrateful she was. Shangguan Furong took a deep breath. Mr. Qian, we're family. Speak nicely. Don't be rough. Who's family with you? Shangguan Furong put on a smile. Mr. Qian, you are about to marry my niece. Aren't we family? Don't worry, Mr. Qian. If An Yang's mother wants to marry into the Shangguan family, she has to get past me. So, I definitely have a way to make An Yang marry you. Are you for real? Qian Weiye narrowed his eyes. Of course it's true. Shangguan Furong nodded. I won't hide it from you. An Yang is just a country girl. Being able to marry you is a blessing she has acquired from countless past lives. Relax. Leave this matter to me. Fine. Qian Weiye let go of Shangguan Furong's collar. I will trust you this one time. Shangguan Furong continued. Just wait for your bride. I assure you will get An Yang nice and obedient for you, even more so than a kitten. I'll trust you this one time. Just as An Yang walked out of the Chen family mansion, a black car drove by her side. After about 10 seconds, the same car came back. The car window lowered, revealing a handsome face. Yang, brother Mo. An Yang looked at Mo Qishan, somewhat surprised. Mo Qishan quickly got out of the car and opened the door. Yang, what are you doing here? An Yang looked around. Let's get in the car and talk. All right. Mo Qishan nodded in agreement and opened the car door for An Yang. Once in the car, An Yang said, I came here with Shangguan Furong. Mo Qishan paused for a moment. Usually, An Yang would address Shangguan Furong as Aunt Furong. Why did she directly call out her name today? An Yang was typically not a rude person. Could it be that Shangguan Furong did something to provoke her? Yang, what happened? Did Shangguan Furong bully you? Mo Qishan asked. An Yang laughed. She could never bully me. It's just that something quite disgusting happened. Before coming to the Chen family, An Yang had truly not thought that Shangguan Furong harbored such intentions. It was absolutely disgusting. Do tell? Mo Qishan asked, turning on the car's music system. An Yang briefly explained the situation. She originally had no intention to hide this from Mo Qishan. Mo Qishan's eyes darkened, containing a hint of monstrous rage, emitting a dangerous aura. He had initially not wanted to stoop to Shangguan Furong's level. After all, she was just a scheming, malicious woman. But Shangguan Furong should not have involved An Yang. Now, he wouldn't be polite to her anymore. Mo Qishan's hand on the steering wheel tightened gradually, his knuckles turning slightly pale. If An Yang were an ordinary girl, she might have already fallen victim to Qian Weiye's harassment. The mere thought of An Yang nearly being bullied made Mo Qishan feel suffocated. He tried to suppress the anger welling up inside him and spoke softly, Boss, I will avenge you for this. His voice was quiet and calm, but it carried an unsettling aura. An Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Oh, really? No. Mo Qishan lightly pinched her nose. and Yang leaned slightly towards him and hugged him. "Brother Mo, you're so nice." Mo Chishan hugged her back. "Thank you for the praise, boss." The hug only lasted for a few seconds. And Yang let go of him, rolled up his sleeve to reveal his glittering, robust wristwatch. "It's already past 11. Brother Mo, should we go for lunch?" "Sure." Mo Chishan nodded. "Where do you want to go?" And Yang continued. "I suddenly feel like having stinky tofu and crossing the bridge noodles. Would you like to join?" "Sure. It's been a long time since I last had these." They went to a street of diners, had lunch, and then went to a movie. Finally, Mo Chishan drove Yang home. In the end, the luxury car stopped in front of a business building. Mo Chishan got out of the car. His originally smiling face was now solemn. His thin lips pressed together, and his eyes held a stormy hue, causing everyone around to feel anxious. "What's wrong with the gentleman today? How terrifying!" Mo Chishan made his way to the top floor and opened the door of his office. He sat on the leather boss chair, loosened his tie, and finally picked up the phone. "Bring Qian Weiya to me, and tell Morris to prepare a dossier on the Zhao family and Shangguan Furong for me right away. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc. Please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 662. The show begins. _1 Upon finishing his sentence, Mo Chishan hung up the phone. His face, usually stone-cold, appeared to be enveloped by an impenetrable layer of ice. Shangguan Furong, on the other end, was still unaware of all that had taken place. After leaving the Zhao family, she had made her way to the Shangguan family residence. Shangguan Furong rushed into the living room, and upon not seeing her mother, asked one of the servants, "Where's Mom?" "The dowager is resting in her room," the servant replied. Shangguan Furong immediately began ascending the stairs, knocking on the door loudly. "Mom! Mom! Mom!" A moment later, her mother appeared, wrapped in a robe. "What's the rush all about?" Shangguan Furong replied with a smile. "I've brought good news, of course." "And what good news could you possibly have?" The dowager stepped aside to allow Shangguan Furong in the room. Shangguan Furong then said, "Mom, I found in Yang a great potential match." The dowager furrowed her brows slightly. "What did you say?" "I said, I found a good family that matches our status in the Shangguan family for Yang." Shangguan Furong repeated. "The Chen family holds notable prestige, and Chen Weiye is the head of the family." Source: Web novel. Updated on New Zero. The dowager had no reason to object. As long as the dowager is on board, Yang would have to agree. Yang already has a boyfriend. There's no need for you to meddle." The dowager expressed her displeasure. "You're talking about Mo Chishan?" A dismissive look flashed across Shangguan Furong's face. "You're well aware of Mo Chishan's reputation. Mom, rest assured, this time, I've truly found a good man for Yang. He's leagues better than Mo Chishan." "Furong, did your brother's slap not wake you up the last time?" The dowager looked at Shangguan Furong. Mention of the slap made Shangguan Furong's expression turn cold. She had not even held the incident against Shangguan Dehui. Yet their mother was bringing it up again. Wasn't this deliberately meant to humiliate her? "Mom, I've been thinking of you all as my family. That's why I've been running around trying to find Yang a good match. But all you do is dismiss my goodwill as worthless." The dowager sighed. "Furong, if you truly cared about our family, you'd keep your nose out of where it doesn't belong." With her grandchildren all grown up and Shangguan Dehui having found his own happiness, all that the dowager wanted now was to live out her remaining years in peace. Why was Shangguan Furong always stirring up trouble instead of living a quiet life? Why did she have to give birth to such a daughter? How is this meddling? I'm doing this for our family's good. Do you think I like meddling in Yang's affairs? If it weren't for the fact that Tsuehua was marrying Shangguan Dehui, she wouldn't even spare Yang a glance. Lin Fong was so eager to marry into a rich family, yet she didn't introduce Chen Weiya to her. In the end, not only did she gain nothing, but she also stirred up a lot of trouble. What a thankless world this was. Shangguan Furong continued, Mom, the person I'm introducing to Ni Yang is Chen Weiya. You're acquainted with Lady Chen too, and Chen Weiya agreed to this match. Now we're only waiting for your approval. As long as you give the go-ahead, there's nothing Ni Yang can complain about. After all, she's just a country girl. Chen Weiya taking a liking to her is an unimaginable stroke of luck. What? The dowager turned pale with rage. Her breathing labored. What did you say? Chen Weiya, do you have any idea how old Chen Weiya is this year? Shangguan Furong, you've gone too far. What's wrong with Chen Weiya? Aren't they just a bit older than Ni Yang? Aside from the age gap, how is Chen Weiya not superior to Mo Qishan? Mom, Ni Yang isn't your biological granddaughter. Why are you protecting her so much? Given her background, marrying Chen Weiya would be a stroke of good fortune. Although Ni Tsuehua was going to marry Shangguan Dehui, the relationship between Ni Yang and the Shangguan family was still not close. If it were Shangguan's biological granddaughter who was to marry Chen Weiya, that would definitely not have been suitable. After all, whoever Chen Weiya marries essentially becomes his concubine. The dowager trembled all over. Shangguan Furong had gone too far. This was outrageous. She was already seething with anger after hearing these words. How would Ni Yang react if she heard them? Shangguan Furong continued, Mom, you're not a fool. You know exactly what the pros and cons are. If Ni Yang marries Chen Weiya, our Shangguan family are the ones who will benefit. If Ni Yang were to be with Mo Qishan, everyone would only end up laughing at the Shangguan family's expense. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 663. The show begins. _2. Shut up. The old Mrs. Shangguan, unable to contain her anger, slapped Shangguan Furong squarely across the face. Caught off guard, Shangguan Furong's face immediately sported a visible handprint, and her words came to an abrupt halt. She hit her. Old Mrs. Shangguan actually hit her. A few days ago, it was her own brother that hit her. Now it's her own mother. Moreover, it was all because of Ni Yang. Misfortune. They, mother and daughter, were truly a curse. Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. A daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. You have no right to interfere in Ni Yang's affairs. Old Mrs. Shangguan really didn't want to speak so harshly to Shangguan Furong. After all, in her eyes, her children were all equal. But Shangguan Furong was just too excessive. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. 0. Mother, what did you say? Shangguan Furong looked at old Mrs. Shangguan in disbelief. I said a daughter married off is like a bucket of water poured out. Can't you understand me? Old Mrs. Shangguan continued. Before, your brother indulged you, no matter how excessive you were, he wouldn't grudge you. But this time it's different. Furong, I hope you can recognize your position. You're 36 years old, not 16. Can you think about the consequences before you speak or act? Staring at old Mrs. Shangguan, Shangguan Furong looked as if she was seeing a stranger. 36 years. This was the second time old Mrs. Shangguan had spoken such harsh words to her. The other time was on the way back from Ni Kuihua's home. Everything I did was for the Shangguan family. Shangguan Furong cried hysterically. Fine. It's my fault. I'm meddling in others' business. Okay. From today on, I'll stop caring about these damn things. Okay? Shangguan Furong picked up a vase and smashed it hard on the ground. Crash shards flew in all directions. The maids cleaning downstairs were greatly startled by this sudden crash. Old Mrs. Shangguan watched Shangguan Furong's retreating figure, shaking her head helplessly. This child is getting more and more irresponsible, and the real hardships are yet to come. Shangguan Furong, covering her left face, made her way downstairs. The passing servants, seeing her like this, dared not to approach and ask what happened. Just then, Shangguanshi returned from outside. "Aunt, what happened to you? Get out." Shangguan Farong, still enraged, pushed Shangguanshi away. Caught off guard, Shangguanshi was pushed to the ground, hitting her head on the corner of a table. "Miss, are you all right?" The servants rushed over and helped Shangguanshi up. "I'm fine." Shangguanshi, supported by the servant, stood up and rubbed her nape. "What happened to my aunt?" The servant pointed to the ceiling and whispered. "It seems like there was some disagreement between the miss and old madam." "Huh." Shangguanshi frowned slightly, ignoring her headache. She ran upstairs immediately. Upstairs, old Mrs. Shangguan sat on the sofa, her face filled with worry. She was reflecting on herself. It was she who had spoiled Shangguan Farong. It was she who hadn't taught Shangguan Farong well. "Grandma." Shangguanshi sat down next to old Mrs. Shangguan. "Xiaoxi." A forced smile appeared on old Mrs. Shangguan's face. Shangguanshi tried to break the news gently. "Grandma, I just saw my aunt leaving in tears. What happened between you two?" Old Mrs. Shangguan sighed, recounted the whole story to Shangguanshi. Hearing this, Shangguanshi was shocked. "It's horrifying. What kind of person is Qian Weiya? A scumbag who even beat his wife to death. What Shangguan Farong did was like pushing Ni Yang into a flaming pit. How could my aunt do such a thing?" Shangguanshi frowned. "Yang must be very angry now. We must not let my aunt affect Aunt Daya and Dad's relationship. After all, it was not easy for Dad and Aunt Daya to finally be together." "Exactly." Old Mrs. Shangguan agreed. "Xiaoxi, it's good that you are back. Let's go to Aunt Daya's house together and explain everything to Aunt Daya and Yang properly." "Okay." Shangguanshi nodded. Under the cover of night, they took a car to the Anai family home. When they arrived, the Anai family was having their meal. The whole family were gathered around the table, laughing and dining, creating a harmonious atmosphere. Aunt Daya, Aunt Anai, Yang. Shangguanshi greeted them politely. "Grandma, Sister Xiaoxi, why are you here?" Anai Yang stood up in surprise. "Yang, we, the Shangguan family, have wronged you." Old Mrs. Shangguan walked over, holding Anai Yang's hand with an apologetic face. "We made you suffer such injustice. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 664. The show begins. _3. What's going on? Anai Tsuehua and Anai Chengui were puzzled. Anai Yang had started cooking as soon as they got home and hadn't had time to tell Anai Tsuehua about it yet. The Shangguan matriarch sighed. "It's all my fault for not raising my daughter right?" She then recounted the entire incident. On hearing this, the faces of Anai Tsuehua and Anai Chengui darkened. Hadn't Shangguan Farong overstepped her bounds? She had even set her sights on Anai Yang. The one consolation was that the matriarch of the Shangguan family was reasonable. If the Shangguan matriarch and Shangguan Farong were of the same breed, then the Shangguan family would be no different from a den of beasts. The Shangguan matriarch continued, "It's my fault for not raising my daughter properly. Rest assured, Anai Yang, I will make Farong apologize to you personally. You deserve an explanation." Since the Shangguan matriarch was so reasonable, Anai Yang naturally wouldn't be petty. After all, the matriarch hadn't been aware of this situation before. If the situation had been encouraged by the Shangguan matriarch herself, then Anai Yang would never forgive her. All in all, this matter had nothing to do with the Shangguan matriarch. As long as Aunt Farong sincerely apologizes and changes her ways, we can pretend like nothing happened. However, if she keeps on the same course, don't blame me for being disrespectful. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on new. These last words seem to be a polite but firm warning. Although Anai Yang had decided not to push the matter further, she was not the type to suffer in silence. The Shangguan matriarch looked at Anai Yang with admiration in her eyes. This child was well raised by Ni Tsuehua. Deep down, she had a sense of indomitable spirit, without any arrogance. And she didn't take unfair advantage of the situation, despite having the upper hand. The Shangguan matriarch was certain that in the not-too-distant future, Ni Yang would surely achieve great things. Don't worry, Ni Yang. Even if you don't do anything, I will take matters into my own hands to clean up the Shangguan family, she said. After finishing the topic, the Shangguan matriarch asked to leave. Ni Tsuehua said, "Aunt, it's late already. If you and Xiaoxi don't mind that we've already started eating, why don't you stay and have dinner with us?" Shangguan, she responded excitedly. "Sounds great, Aunt Daya. I love the food at your house." She had been worried that Ni Tsuehua might take her anger out on them because of Shangguan Furong's behavior. However, it seemed that Ni Tsuehua was not the unreasonable type. The Shangguan matriarch replied modestly, "Daya, we appreciate your hospitality." Ni Tsuehua brought in 2 new sets of bowls and chopsticks. "We're all family. There's no need for you to be so polite, Aunt." Ni Yang silently stood up, planning to head into the kitchen to whip up a couple more dishes. She had prepared just enough food for 3 adults and 1 child, but now with 2 more people they would inevitably come up short. "Ni Yang, where are you off to?" Shangguan, she quickly noticed Ni Yang's movements. Ni Yang replied, "I'm going to cook a few more dishes. Can I come with you?" Shangguan, she put down her chopsticks. "This way I could pick up a few tricks." "Sure." Ni Yang nodded. They both headed to the kitchen. Shangguan, she learned quite a few helpful cooking tips by following Ni Yang around. Chen Weiye was led to the top floor of a business building. A figure was seated on the boss chair with his back to him, revealing only an imposing silhouette. Even just the silhouette was enough to strike fear into anyone who saw it. This was an instinctive fear. After all, this man was the famous Mr. Mog. Chen Weiye's hands were shaking as he took a handkerchief out of his pocket. He was wiping his forehead, but sweat just kept pouring out, like an endlessly proliferating weed. "Mr. Chen, please sign this." Morris placed a document on the desk in front of Chen Weiye. Reading what was on that document, Chen Weiye's knees gave out and he landed on the floor. "Mr. Mog, I beg you, please spare me and the Chen family." He had no idea how he had offended this influential figure. With him in Mr. Mog's sights, it seemed that the Chen family was in trouble. "Do you know why you offended Mr. Mog?" Morris squatted down and patted Chen Weiye's face lightly. I don't know." "Because you offended someone you should never have offended," Morris explained in fluent Chinese. "You're so lowly, yet you dare to covet things above your station. You aspire to possess our lattice attention? Lady Mog, if you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report, so we can fix it as soon as possible." "Where are the files on the Zhao family and Shangguan Furong?" "Here," answered Marcus respectfully, handing over the files. "How handsome the master looks when he's furious for his woman." Marcus was extremely excited. Emochishin took the files and flipped through a few pages. Marcus then said, "Last night, Shangguan Furong returned to the Shangguan family." "What was the Shangguan family's reaction?" Emochishin asked. Marcus thought for a while, then said, "Old Madame Shangguan and Shangguan Furong had a big argument. Shangguan Furong was even slapped across the face. In the end, old Madame Shangguan personally went to Miss Ni's house. It was fortunate that Madame Shangguan was wise. If Madame Shangguan was the same as Shangguan Furong, those who would be unlucky this time would not be limited to just Shangguan Furong and Chen Weiye." Upon hearing this, Mo Kishin's previously tight face relaxed a bit. Marcus then asked, "Sir, do you want me to invite Shangguan Furong over?" "No need." Emochishin closed the files. "Come closer." Marcus walked over to Emochishin and bent down. Emochishin whispered something to him, and Marcus nodded. "Okay. Sir, I have it." This tactic of emotion, using someone's own methods against them, was absolutely ruthless. Shangguan Farong was about to face bad luck now. An Ai family's house. Just as An Ai Yang opened the gate, ready to go out, an unknown figure popped up. Grandma! An Ai Yang slightly frowned. This man, whose face is swollen like a pig's head. Does she know him? And he is calling her grandma. Does she look that old? Grandma, it's me. It's Chen Weiya. Chen Weiya spoke again. An Ai Yang smiled lightly. It seems you didn't take my words to heart yesterday. So, do you want to try the taste of being hit with an 812 again? If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 666. The show begins. _5. No, no, no. Chen Weiya shook his head immediately, knelt on the ground with a thud, picked up a thick vine from the ground and held it in his hand. Granny, I'm here to apologize. Sorry, Granny. I was blind before, a toad craving after swan meat. I will never dare to do it again. I beg your mercy. Please spare me this time. An Ai Yang slightly squints her eyes. What is happening? Why did Chen Weiya change his behavior? Could it be Mo Kishin's work? Interesting. An Ai Yang picked up the vine with a faint smile. In fact, Chen Weiya is not entirely to blame for this. After all, it was Shangguan Farong who took the initiative. By law, Chen Weiya can be considered an accomplice at most. Chen Weiya, you haven't been shy of forcing yourself on innocent girls in the past, have you? No, no. Chen Weiya shook his head immediately. I swear, Granny, I have never forced anyone. All those women were with me voluntarily. And Ai Yang didn't say much else. She just broke the vine she had been holding in her hand with a simple snap. Chen Weiya, if you ever do anything disgraceful in the future, this broken vine will be your fate. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. The vine is half an arm thick and quite resilient. It would be impossible for an ordinary person to break it with one hand. Chen Weiya's moral compass was reset again. He was so scared he began to kowtow. I will never do it again. Granny, I promise. I will never do it again. Get out. An Ai Yang's red lips spoke lightly. Thank you, Granny, for your mercy. I'm leaving now. Chen Weiya seemed like he had received amnesty, picked up his knee, curled up into a ball and rolled away. An Ai Yang. Just then, An Ai Quihua's voice came from inside the house. Yang, who is it outside? An Ai Yang responded, just a passerby asking for directions. Zhao family. Shangguan Farong has been in an extremely bad mood these days. If Shangguan Dehui had been with Lin Fong from the beginning, none of this would have happened. It's all An Ai Quihua's fault. All her fault. Seeing Shangguan Farong in such a bad mood, both the old lady of the Zhao family and Zhao Xin were treading on eggshells around her, fearing they might add fuel to the fire. Just then, Lin Fong walked in from outside. She first greeted the old lady and Zhao Shen, and then came upstairs. Farong. After her active approach last time, their friendship has grown rapidly. Now she was free to come and go in the Zhao family's house. With her gentle character, even the servants of the Shangguan family liked her. Shangguan Farong, being a proud person, ignored Lin Fong, especially since she had been annoyed recently. Why are you here? Lin Fong did not get upset, and said with a smile, Farong, I came to give you a present. What present? Shangguan Farong finally looked at Lin Fong with a hint of interest. This for you. Lin Fong took a black card out of her bag and handed it to Shangguan Farong. The black card was pitch black, with gold lines as decoration on the edges, and the 4 characters National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance on the left side. It looked very upscale and classy. What is this? Shangguan Farong asked. This is a membership card of National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance. Lin Fong continued. Farong, haven't you always wanted their membership card? This one is for you. The National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance membership card costs 888 yuan each. Obviously Lin Fong couldn't afford one, not to mention it was limited edition. This black card was given to her by a mysterious person who claimed to want to help her. Is this really a membership card from National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance? Shangguan Furong looked at Lin Fong in surprise. Lin Fong nodded. Furong, given our relationship, do you think I would lie to you? Thank you then. Shangguan Furong suppressed the excitement in her heart. She was someone who had seen big scenes. How could she just show her emotions so easily? But she was really excited. With the National Beauty and Heavenly Fragrance's membership card, she could now take that group of card-playing friends to their third floor for a surprise. By then, they will be so envious of her. Seeing Shangguan Furong like this, Lin Fong smirked, and then said, Furong, I have things to do at home. I won't bother you anymore. Wait a moment. Shangguan Furong called out to Lin Fong. What's the matter? Lin Fong turned around to look at Shangguan Furong. Shangguan Furong opened a jewelry box and casually pulled out a necklace. I bought this necklace a long time ago and only wore it once. Now I'm giving it to you. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 667. The show begins. _6. Lin Fong declined. Furong, I can't accept it. I only gifted you the membership card because I felt we had a strong connection, not because I'm after your stuff. Just take it. Shangguan Furong was not one to be petty. Helplessly, Lin Fong accepted it. After Lin Fong left, Shangguan Furong also departed the Zhao household. With Shangguan Furong's departure, the atmosphere in the Zhao house instantly lightened. The smile had returned to Grandma Zhao's face. Lin Fong, who had previously left, returned moments later. This time, she held a thermos to her hand. Grandma, I heard you often have headaches. I made you some gastrodia chicken soup specially. It's very good for the head. Lin Fong removed the lid from the thermos and ladled out a bowl of soup for Grandma Zhao. Thank you, Xiaolin. The old lady accepted the soup with a face full of smiles. As the matriarch of the Zhao family, was she lacking in chicken soup? What she lacked was a gesture of kindness. Shangguan Furong had never once shown such filial piety. Lin Fong was really wonderful. She was kind, gentle, and understanding. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New Omicron. Omicron WHY hadn't Zhao Xin met such a good person? Grandma, Furong and I are good friends. Making you a bowl of soup is no big deal. I just hope you don't mind, Lin Fong said. Look at you, talking like that. I'm more than happy to have it. Why would I mind? Grandma Zhao drained the bowl of soup in one gulp. The taste of the gastrodia was slightly bitter, so Lin Fong promptly handed over a piece of honey loquat. Grandma Zhao took it, laughing. Xiaolin, you're a really thoughtful child. Lin Fong replied, maybe because I'm used to being around children a lot. I've got used to it. Grandma Zhao nodded approvingly. Not long after, Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, the two siblings, arrived home from school. Zijuan, Ziqing, Auntie Lin Fong. The siblings immediately rushed over to greet her. They seemed more excited to see her than their own mother. Shangguan Furong was often harsh to others, including her own children. This led to the siblings being quite fearful of Shangguan Furong and not very close to her. Lin Fong then opened the second layer of her lunchbox. Zijuan, Ziqing, didn't you two say last time that you liked Auntie's dumplings? I specially made some for you today. Zhao Zijuan and Zhao Ziqing, who were 10 and 8 years old, respectively, really relished treats. Thank you, Auntie Lin Fong. The siblings immediately started wolfing down the dumplings. The dumplings were delicious. Despite them being only minced pork and leek dumplings, they were irresistible. Plus, they were beautifully made. Auntie Lin Fong, you're so amazing. With a modest smile, Lin Fong said, it's just a plate of dumplings. If you two like it, I can make them more often and bring them over to you. Really? Chapter 668. The show begins. _7 Zhao Yun said, I've seen the Gus Tianxiang membership card from my friend. It's exactly the same as this one. My gosh. Furong. You're just too amazing. Shangguan Furong, with a smile, said, Isn't it just a card? It's no big deal to me. This membership card perfectly satisfied Shangguan Furong's vanity. She was used to being dominant at home, so she wanted to take control no matter the occasion. Jia Xinjin sighed. As I thought, we all really have to rely on Furong. Exactly. Furong is indeed amazing. Shangguan Furong, who had been depressed for several days, also began to cheer up at this moment. With the membership card, they were able to ascend to the third floor smoothly without queuing. The decoration on the third floor completely stunned the four of them. It was not until they reached the third floor that they realized there was a special menu for VIP customers. The dishes and desserts on the menu were all new to them, such as mango pudding, fruit salad, and such. Shangguan Furong ordered a table full of dishes and desserts with an indomitable spirit. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New. The four of them spent over 5 hours on the third floor. In the middle, they even played a game of mahjong before leaving the third floor. Just as they left their private room, Shangguan Furong saw a familiar figure. Was that Anai Yang? What was Anai Yang doing, wiping a vase? Wasn't she selling noodles? How did she end up at Gus Tianxiang doing menial work? Shangguan Furong squinted her eyes, looked around, and already had an answer in her heart. Anyone who could come to the third floor of Gus Tianxiang wouldn't be of low status. Anai Yang really did have grand ambitions. She turned down the introduction to Chen Weiye. Yet she fawningly did odd jobs at Gus Tianxiang. She's really shameless. Furong. What are you looking at? Jia Xinjin curiously looked at Shangguan Furong. Nothing. Shangguan Furong withdrew her gaze. Just having a look. Oh. Jia Xinjin nodded. Let's go, then. The group headed downstairs together. Gus Tianxiang was always full of guests every day, so Anai Yang didn't notice Shangguan Furong. After she finished wiping the vase, she handed the rag to a waiter beside her and said, The most taboo thing in the catering industry is sanitation problems. From now on, this vase should be cleaned daily. The standard is that no dust can be seen when it is wiped with a white cloth. All right, I know. The waiter behind her nodded. Then, Anai Yang found Gulanji. Even though Gulanji was much older than Anai Yang in terms of age, she truly admired Anai Yang. This young, slender girl was just too impressive. At first, she and everyone else didn't think highly of Gus Tianxiang's future. She only agreed to work here because of the high salary of more than 300 yuan. She never expected that Gus Tianxiang's business would become so booming someday. It became the target of imitation for everyone in the catering industry. Working here gave her a sense of superiority. Anai Yang said, Sister Lanji, from now on, there should be a sanitary inspection in the restaurant every 3 days. Then we will rate them as ABC. A class will be rewarded 30 yuan each, B class 10 yuan each, and C class will be rewarded 1 yuan. The restaurant had 3 floors, which were divided into 3 zones, A, B, and C. The sanitation conditions of these 3 zones could be compared with each other. As the saying goes, no reward, no motivation. A restaurant should not ignore sanitation just because the food and service are good and business is booming. Anai Yang's standard is, there is no best, only better. Gulanji had no objections to Anai Yang's proposal. She nodded and said, All right, Yang, I got it. Yang, you have a call. A waiter hurried over. In the restaurant, everyone called Anai Yang. Originally, everyone used to call her boss, but they felt that calling her boss wasn't nice, and calling her Anai was too stiff, so they asked everyone to call her Yang instead. All right. Anai Yang went over to answer the phone. Yang. The person on the other end of the line was Anai Tsuehua. Mom, what's the matter? Anai Yang asked. Anai Tsuehua continued. Yang, Annie and Emily are here. Can you come home now? All right. Anai Yang hung up the phone, said a word to Gulanji, and went home. It was already cold in November. and Ai Yang put on a purple coat as she walked along. The coat was of a slim fit design, and there were 2 pearls for embellishment on the cuffs. And Ai Yang hurried out, not noticing that one of the pearls slid off the cuff. A man wearing an old-fashioned gown passed by her. The pearl happened to roll to the man's feet. The man squatted down, picked up the pearl, and looked back. The road outside was bustling with people, and her figure was no longer seen. "What are you looking at, Mr. Du?" asked Wang Ziki. Mr. Du coughed lightly with his fist against his lips. "Nothing." The 2 men walked inside. "Do you have a membership card?" A waiter dressed in Hanfu immediately greeted them. "Membership card?" Wang Ziki furrowed his brows in confusion. The waiter politely said, "All the seats are taken inside. If you don't have a membership card, please follow me to wait for meal." "What is a membership card?" Mr. Du asked softly. Mr. Du seemed like a character who walked out of an old movie. He was thin, wearing an old-fashioned gown. His shoes were cloth, and despite his ordinary attire and gentle brows and eyes, he gave off an impression that he was no ordinary man. The waiter explained the membership card to Mr. Du in great detail. "Can we also apply for one?" Mr. Du inquired next. "I'm really sorry. There are no extra spots for membership cards right now." The waiter looked apologetic. "What did you say?" Wang Ziki frowned slightly and stepped forward, perhaps having stayed in Shanghai for a long time. Wang Ziki still carried a certain air of lawlessness. In Shanghai, no one dared to reject Mr. Du like this, who treated Mr. Du with anything but respect. "Ziki." Mr. Du spoke softly. "Mr. Du." Wang Ziki toned down his aggressiveness somewhat. "Let's go over there and wait." The waiter breathed a sigh of relief. "Please follow me." The 2 of them went to the waiting area. Mr. Du was elegantly sipping tea. Wang Ziki walked from the lobby to the inner hall, and then back to Mr. Du. "Mr. Du, I don't think this is 4th Miss style." Mr. Du laughed lightly. "She's not that clever." He then asked, "How's the investigation going? When can we find the person?" Wang Ziki showed a troubled expression. "Mr. Du, this matter can't be rushed." The smile on Mr. Du's face slowly faded. After a while, he asked again, "Is it really that hard to find a person?" His voice was still gentle, but it carried an oppressive feeling. Wang Ziki steeled himself and said, "Mr. Du, we are in Beijing. Don't we even have a clue?" Mr. Du continued to ask. Wang Ziki shook his head. Mr. Du drained the cup of tea, then said, "Don't waste manpower on 4th Miss anymore. Focus on finding her in the future." "So, we're just going to ignore 4th Miss?" Wang Ziki asked. "If she wants to go mad, let her have a proper fit." Mr. Du put the tea cup on the table, his face full of anger. It's unclear whether he's annoyed at the incompetent Wang Ziki or the unrestrained 4th Mississippi. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 669. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway. One Master Du appears to be as gentle as jade on the surface. But only Wang Ziki knows what kind of soul is hidden beneath this gentle demeanor. This time, 4th Miss is probably not in for anything good. Master Du continued, "From this month on, no one is allowed to remit money to 4th Mississippi." "All right." Wang Ziki nodded. The Anai family residence. As Anai Yang opened the courtyard door, she was immediately embraced warmly by Emily. Anai Yang. Emily. After not seeing each other for several months, Emily seemed like a completely different person. Her skin was fair and rosy, and the freckles on her nose had disappeared completely. All thanks to the miraculous effects of ice crystal jade skin. Emily was immensely grateful for having met Anai Yang on Shisua Island in Miami. If it wasn't for Anai Yang, she would never have discovered how beautiful she could be. Source: Web Novel. Com. Updated on N0New0. Excitedly, Emily hugged Anai Yang. A moment later, Anai Yang released Emily, and they walked into the living room. Emily said, "And Yang, your home and courtyard are decorated so beautifully." She had always imagined China as a very backward country. It should be chaotic and dirty. But after coming to China, Emily discovered that it is a country with a very rich cultural heritage, completely different from what she had imagined. And Yang smiled and said, "Thank you for the compliment." Aunt Annie and Anai Tsuehua were chatting on the sofa in the living room. Through long-term learning, Anai Kuihua's oral English skills were now excellent, and there were no obstacles in her communication with Annie. After chatting for a while, Annie revealed her intentions. "Anai Yang, I want to become an agent for your product and become the overseas distributor for Ice Crystal Jade Skin. I want more people in Country M to be able to use Ice Crystal Jade Skin. The effects of Ice Crystal Jade Skin are truly excellent. The few dozen products Annie took back last time sold out within a month, because more and more people were coming to ask Annie to buy Ice Crystal Jade Skin. That's why Annie decided to visit China again. At the same time, this decision was made after careful consideration. Ice Crystal Jade Skin is a rare, good product that will be popular in the future. In order to prevent someone else from taking the opportunity first, she wanted to become the first agent in Country M. She believed that her judgment would not be mistaken. Hearing this, Yang was somewhat surprised. She hadn't expected that Annie wanted to be the agent for Ice Crystal Jade Skin in such a short period of time. "Aunt Annie, are you really sure about this? This is the contract, take a look." Annie took out the contract from her bag. There were 4 copies of the contract, 2 in English and 2 in Chinese. Yang picked up the contract and, while skimming through it, she circled the problematic parts. "Aunt Annie, I think these 4 parts need to be revised. Please take a look." Yang passed the revised contract to Annie. Annie took the contract and found that the 4 points Yang had circled seemed fine at first glance. But on closer inspection, she discovered that there were significant loopholes in these areas. Annie looked at Yang, a new layer of admiration visible in her eyes. Yang was about the same age as Emily. Emily couldn't even understand the contract, but Yang could shoulder large responsibilities all by herself. "That is truly impressive." "All right," Annie nodded and continued. "Then these 4 areas will be modified as you suggested. Let's discuss the price issue next. As for the price, I will give you this discount." Yang wrote a discount on a piece of paper. The price she gave was 70% of the normal retail price. The export duties and other transportation costs would be borne by Annie herself. Yang would only be responsible for supplying the products. After calculating this way, the price of each product needs to be 40% higher than the domestic price in order for the agent to make a profit. In other words, if the whitening moisturizer was sold for 230 yuan domestically, it would have to be sold for 322 yuan abroad. However, this was normal. All things exported from foreign countries to China were sold at several times the original price. Isn't it time for the Chinese to have a moment of pride? After quickly calculating the exact price in her heart, Annie said, "Okay, this price is acceptable. Additionally, I have another request." Yang continued, "This needs to be added to the contract." "You say." Yang said, "As Ice Crystal Jade Skin is a product of China, once it arrives in Country M, it is not allowed to change its packaging, nationality, or founder. Furthermore, no additional trademark may be registered to overshadow it. It can only be Ice Crystal Jade Skin. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible." Chapter 670. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _2. Back in the 1980s, the Chinese did not have much awareness of copyright. This led to many goods being exported from China, repackaged in foreign countries, and then sold as local products. The toilet seat news of the later era is an example. The toilet seats from our country that were so popular among the Chinese were actually made in China, And I Yang, having returned from the future, was determined to prevent all such problems. She wanted to avoid any future disputes. Annie nodded. And I Yang, you've thought this through thoroughly. She's incredibly shrewd. Negotiating with her is like playing a game of chess. She was clearly just a teenager, but her considerations were more thorough than an adult's. It was difficult to imagine the capacity of her brain. And I Yang continued, oh, there's one more thing. Some products of the Ice Skin Jade Flesh line are limited editions. In order to avoid market disturbances in M country, I hope you follow the same practice. General limited editions should be capped at 60 sets per month, and the Supreme Edition only 20 sets. It should be purchased by showing an ID card, limiting 1 set per person per month. Actually, limited edition products are also a marketing strategy. After all, rarity is precious. Only when it becomes expensive will people cherish it. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on N0 New. Anai nodded, indicating no objections. And I Yang smiled. If Aunt Annie agrees to all the points I've made, we can sign the contract as soon as it's drafted. And I Yang. Hey, race to a successful partnership. Annie extended her right hand towards An I Yang. To a successful partnership. An I Yang shook her hand warmly. After successfully concluding negotiations, Annie proposed to leave. An I Yang smilingly said, Aunt Annie, you are not familiar with China. If you don't mind, you can stay over tonight, and I can take Emily around tomorrow. When they were in M country, An I Yang had promised Emily she'd show her around. Since they've already moved into their new house, there was no need to worry about not having enough rooms. On hearing this, Emily jumped up and down in excitement. Yes, yes. She liked An I Yang very much and wished she could be with An I Yang every day. Annie said, Then we'll take you up on your kind offer. In the afternoon, An I Yang took Emily for a walk around the village. The village was bustling because a new road was being built. The villagers were intrigued by the foreign girl. Yang, who is this foreign girl? What's her name? Which country is she from? How old is she? Emily, not understanding Chinese, curiously looked at An I Yang. An I Yang first translated the villagers' questions into English, then told them, Her name is Emily. She's a good friend I met in M country. She's 18 years old. Oh, so her name is Lily. Chapter 671. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _3. Emily picks a camellia flower and tucks it behind her ear. An I Yang, do I look good like this? Beautiful. An I Yang nods. You should wear one too. Emily snaps off a camellia and fastens it to An I Yang's ear. An I Yang, you look gorgeous too. Camellia, already a bright and conspicuous flower, now, pinned to An I Yang's ear, appears somewhat dimmed and lackluster. Perhaps this is what is meant by the phrase, beauty pales before her. Before long, Emily gathers a handful of camellia flowers. An I Yang, what's this? Emily has somehow managed to pluck a handful of hawthorn fruits. This is hawthorn. It's not too bad. Give it a try. An I Yang suggests. Jinghua Mountain is rich in resources, not only given to camellia flowers but also to hawthorn fruits. The small hawthorns grow very delicately, resembling miniature apples. Can I eat this? Emily looks at An I Yang with surprise. An I Yang nods. Source: web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron. Emily bites timidly into a hawthorn. The sour and sweet flavors explode on her tongue. Yum! I've never tasted this back in M country. An I Yang smiles. Hawthorns can not only be eaten directly but can also be made into candied hawthorn, hawthorn slices, and hawthorn cakes. Candied hawthorn especially, once processed, can taste delicious. Really? Emily is somewhat surprised. Of course it's true. Emily grabs An I Yang's hand. An I Yang, there are plenty more hawthorn fruits here. Shall we pick more and make something tasty out of them? Sure. An I Yang nods slightly. The hawthorn tree is not tall, but its branches are fully adorned with bright red hawthorn fruits. In no time, they've filled a whole bag with them. After picking the hawthorns, Yang spots a tall bamboo citrus tree, its branches laden with bright yellow bamboo citrus. Bamboo citrus, also known as wooden bamboo. Though it tastes sour and sweet like hawthorn, its flavor is completely unique. Seeing Yang looking up at the bamboo citrus tree, Emily curiously asks, Yang, can we eat these too? The mountain is so much fun. Not only are the views fantastic, but there are so many treats to eat. Yang nods. Yeah, you can eat them. Wanna try? Yes. Emily nods eagerly. Yang then says, I'll climb up and pick some, and you can catch them below. Can you really climb this tall tree? Emily was skeptical. Yes. Yang, though wearing a cheongsam, has no problem scaling the tree. She makes it to the top in just a few quick movements, leaving Emily staring in surprise. Yang, you're amazing. Picking them one by one would take too long. So Yang, from her perch in the tree, gently shakes the branches. Like rain, the ripe bamboo citrus fall to the ground. That's enough. Emily below doesn't know which ones to pick up. Chapter 672. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _4. Hearing this, Chingue exclaimed in surprise. Really? Our can go international now? MHM. Yang nodded. That's fantastic. Chingue said with a deeply moved smile on his face, turning to look at Annie and Emily. Hello? I'm Chingue. Chingue didn't speak English, leaving Emily and Annie looking at each other perplexed, unable to understand what Chingue meant. Yang smiled and translated for them. When Chingue saw Tsuehua could communicate normally with them, his face was full of disbelief. Yang's mom, you're really amazing. Although he had known for some time that Tsuehua was learning English, Chingue didn't realize that her English skills had gotten so good. Tsuehua smiled and said, When I have nothing else to do at home, I practice on my own. After spending so much time, I'd be embarrassed if I still couldn't do it. After all, she had also spent several months on it. It looks like I really need to study hard, or else I'll be the one falling behind. But Yang's mom, you're really smart. A year ago, Tsuehua was just an illiterate rural woman. Now, not only had her appearance and temperament changed, but her knowledge had also improved along with them. Moreover, Tsuehua was someone who loved to learn and had the perseverance to keep at it. Whenever she had free time, she would find a book to read, no matter what kind of book, she could get into it. Chingue truly admired her. Source: web novel. Updated on Omicron New. Tsuehua smiled and said, Sister Chingue, you sure know how to make me happy. You just haven't started learning. If you did, I'm sure you'd be smarter than me. Come on, let's eat. The dishes will get cold. I'll go wash my hands. Chingue put his bag on the sofa and went to the washroom to wash his hands. Because they were aware that Emily and Annie wouldn't know how to use chopsticks, Yang had specifically prepared knives and forks for them. Emily didn't have much expectation for Chinese food at first. She had eaten at Chinese restaurants in M country before. The taste was quite ordinary, not at all better than Western food. But it was only when she tasted Yang's cooking that she discovered what real Chinese food was like. The flavor was stunning. Delicious. It's really amazing. Emily could hardly stop herself from swallowing her tongue along with the food. Seeing Emily's reaction, Annie also lowered her head to taste a bite of the shrimp and vermicelli soup. The soup was rich in flavor, the shrimp was springy, and the vermicelli was full of the savory broth. Biting into it brought a deeply satisfying combination of flavors, much more delightful than plain bread and sandwiches. My goodness, the Chinese were too lucky to be able to eat such delicious food. Very tasty. Annie gave Yang a thumbs up. Chapter 673. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _5. Lin Fong picked up the cup, took a sniff and laughed. This is the top-grade Biluakun. But to be honest, compared to green tea like Biluakun, I prefer black-red tea like pure. I always feel that black-red tea is more charming. Green tea is too light. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen exclaimed excitedly. Really? I think so too. Finding a soulmate who shares your interests in this world is not easy at all. Zhao Shen was now extremely excited. Lin Fong laughed and said, well, we really have the same bad taste. Zhao Shen continued, however, Furong doesn't like black-red tea, so I threw away all the black-red tea at home. Otherwise, I could steep a cup of pure for you now. Speaking of which, that pure tea cake was brought back from Zhongnan. It has been kept for more than 10 years. Zhao Shen's words were filled with regret. Probably only tea lovers would understand his feelings. A pure tea cake that has been stored for more than 10 years is a top-grade tea that can't be purchased in normal times. As Lin Fong observed Zhao Shen's expression, she said, that's a real pity. Sister Furong seems to be quite nice in general. Why is her character so peculiar? You drink yours, she drinks hers, there's no need to waste good stuff? Zhao Shen lowered his head and took a sip of green tea, ignoring Lin Fang's words. Grandma Zhao walked over. Xiaolin, if Furong was as understanding as you are, I would be satisfied. Lin Fong laughed. Grandma, you're joking. I'm just speaking truthfully. Actually, Sister Furong is a really nice person. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Omicron, she is a good person. It's just that her character is a bit quirky. Grandma Zhao continued. Otherwise, why would she even offend her own mother? Lin Fong chuckled but didn't respond. Because some things are better left unsaid. The more you say, the more it can backfire. Lin Fong didn't stay at the Zhao family's home for long before she proposed leaving. Grandma Zhao said, Shenbao, help me send Xiaolin off. All right. Zhao Shen grabbed his car keys and stood up to accompany Lin Fong. Lin Fong gently declined. No need to send me. It's not that far anyway. I can take a taxi back. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shen was about to put down the car keys. Grandma Zhao frowned slightly and continued, just let Zhao Shen send you. It's not like he has anything to do at home anyway. This time Lin Fong didn't refuse. Then ill-trouble brother-in-law. Zhao Shen retracted his half-stretched hand. The two of them walked out the door together. Lin Fong took the passenger seat. On the road, Lin Fong tried her best to find mutual topics with Zhao Shen. Because she had done her research beforehand, the two of them enjoyed their conversation more and more. Unfortunately, they soon arrived at Lin Fang's building, and their conversation ceased. Chapter 674. Shangguan Furong apologizes at the doorway _6. In other words, she had enough confidence in herself. She didn't believe Zhao Shen would dare betray her. Okay, they'll go now. Zhao Shen rushed into the room, hoping to have coffee ready by the time Shangguan Furong sat on the sofa. Seeing Shangguan Furong's return, Grandma Zhao tactfully left the living room. Although Anai Tsuehua wasn't planning to get married to Shangguan Dehui for now, they couldn't keep dragging things on. So Grandma Shangguan spoke with Anai Chengui to set up an engagement and make it public. Anai Tsuehua had no objections to this. In China in the 1980s, getting engaged was also known as setting the commitment. Setting the commitment wasn't as formal as it would be in later years. All it required was a matchmaker and inviting family from both sides for a shared meal. However, during the engagement, the wedding date needed to be agreed upon. When Shangguan Furong heard about Shangguan Dihui's engagement to Anai Tsuehua, she was livid. They had even set the date for the engagement without notifying her. Did they even consider her anymore? Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Zero. Shangguan Furong, angry, went to find Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan said, how can you expect others to respect you if you don't respect yourself? Mother, am I still your daughter? Shangguan Furong confronted Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan responded, I should be the one asking you that. Do you even see me as your mother? You're making a scene for no reason. Continuing, Grandma Shangguan said, Also, you owe Yang Yang an apology for what happened last time. What? Shangguan Furong couldn't help but exclaim sharply. You want me to apologize to her? Why should I apologize to her? Yang was nothing more than an individual trader, and she was the younger generation. Shangguan Furong almost thought she was hallucinating. Apologizing. Grandma Shangguan was actually asking her to apologize. You messed things up so badly. Asking you to apologize is the least of it. Grandma Shangguan continued. I'm telling you today, if you continue to insist on your views, with no remorse, then I won't acknowledge you as my daughter anymore. Leaves that to your own discretion. This time, Grandma Shangguan wouldn't indulge Shangguan Furong any longer. Mother, do you realize what you're saying? Rest assured, even when I'm asleep, I'm more clear-headed than you. Grandma Shangguan continued, By the way, until you agree to apologize, please don't call me mother. I don't have a daughter like you. Grandma Shangguan kept a stern face, showing no signs of joking. Shangguan Furong never thought that Grandma Shangguan would sever ties with her own daughter for a bunch of outsiders. The room fell silent for a moment. After a while, Shangguan Furong looked up at Grandma Shangguan and said, Word by word, Fine. I am willing to apologize. You're certain? Grandma Shangguan raised her eyebrows to look at her. Yes. Shangguan Furong was no fool. She knew she could not lose the support of the Shangguan family. If Grandma Shangguan were to truly not acknowledge her as a daughter, it would bring her no benefits. So be it. She'll apologize. She will find plenty of ways to deal with that little brat Yang in the future. The depths of Shangguan Furong's eyes held nothing but hatred. Upon hearing her response, Grandma Shangguan stood up from the couch. Since you've thought it through, come with me. Shangguan Furong followed in Grandma Shangguan's footsteps. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Ni family's residence. Grandma Shangguan led Shangguan Furong to Yang. Yang. Today I brought Aunt Furong to apologize to you. Shangguan Furong stepped out from behind Grandma Shangguan, and with an apologetic expression, she said, Sorry, Yang. I shouldn't have meddled the other day and introduced you to Chen Weiya. You can rest assured, I won't do it again. Yes. If she ever tried to introduce another potential suitor to Yang, she would be worse than an animal. She hoped Yang would marry a worse-off person. Better yet, someone useless like Mo Chishan. Yang smiled faintly. I hope you'll remember your words today, Aunt Furong. Shangguan Furong nodded with a forced smile. Having apologized, Grandma Shangguan led Shangguan Furong back home. On the car ride home, Grandma Shangguan started the conversation. Furong, your bad temper really needs some working on. If you keep this up, you'll inevitably suffer losses in the future. Zhaoxin might be simple and honest, but even a cornered dog will bite. As her mother, Grandma Shangguan was genuinely worried. Shangguan Furong laughed and said, Aren't you the one who loves seeing me suffer losses? Grandma Shangguan continued, I heard that Lin Fong has been visiting your home frequently. Is that true? What about it? Shangguan Furong looked at Grandma Shangguan. Grandma Shangguan continued, Shangguan Furong is a widow who harbors devious intentions. You should distance yourself from such people, lest you end up suffering losses unknowingly. Grandma Shangguan saw Lin Fang's character for what it truly was. It wasn't because she was overly suspicious, but some people just needed to be guarded against. Shangguan Furong laughed, then sarcastically said, Mother, who I want to associate with is my business. Could you please mind your own and stop concerning yourself with our family affairs? Grandma Shangguan frowned slightly. I'm saying all of this for your own good. Have you ever seen a mother harm her own child? Well, when I was introducing suitors to Yang, I was doing it for the good of the Shangguan family. Have you ever seen a daughter who would harm her own mother? Shangguan Furong turned the tables. She really hated Grandma Shangguan's hypocritical manner. It was utterly repugnant. Grandma Shangguan was at a loss for words. Furong, how can you be so ungrateful? Don't you think the person being ungrateful is you? Shangguan Furong looked at Grandma Shangguan, her face full of mockery. She had good intentions, thinking about the Shangguan family's interests, but Grandma Shangguan didn't appreciate it, and even punished her. Now, at last, Grandma Shangguan could experience her feelings too. Shangguan Furong felt an intense satisfaction within. Grandma Shangguan sighed. She earnestly said, Furong, trust me. Lin Fong is not a good person. It's best you don't have any dealings with her. Have you ever heard me say a word about your other friends? As her own flesh and blood, Grandma Shangguan couldn't bear to see her treacherously sucked into some abyss. She had an intuition that Lin Fong was definitely getting close to Shangguan Furong with ulterior motives. Shangguan Furong said, Mother, I have my own eyes to see, and I can judge for myself. I have a better understanding of Lin Fong than you do. Please refrain from making baseless comments about my friends. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 675. Engagement Scene. Shining brightly. _1 Seeing Shangguan Furong so obstinate. Shangguan old lady sighed. Furong, you're being so stubborn, refusing to consider the opinions of others. One day you will regret it. Shangguan Furong smiled and replied, Mother, shouldn't I be the one saying those words to you? Who is really the stubborn one here? She had always kept the best interests of the Shangguan family in mind, but had the old lady ever shown a shred of gratitude? Not only was she ungrateful, but she also took her good intentions for granted. Now, she was even being asked to apologize to a younger generation. When had Shangguan Furong ever suffered such humiliation? The old lady stood by Ni Tsuehua and Ni Yang wholeheartedly, but she would one day regret it. The old lady shook her head helplessly. Well, I've warned you. Whether you choose to listen is up to you. But let me say this up front. If one day you are wronged by Lin Fong, don't come crying to me. If you don't mind losing face, I do. She had made herself clear. Shangguan Furong was in her 30s now, not a 3-year-old. She should know right from wrong. Shangguan Furong laughed scornfully. Mother, rest assured, I will never give you the chance to see that day. But as for you, your bias for Dia and Ni Yang, there will come a day when you might regret it. Source, web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron. Don't worry, both Dia and Yang Yang are not like that. The old lattice eyes were full of firm belief, firmly convinced that she would never misjudge a person. Who can guarantee that? She was waiting for that day, the day the old lady would regret her words. The old lady didn't say anything more. The 8th day of the 11th lunar month. Auspicious. Travel, engagement, trade, tourism, blessings. The engagement of Ni Tsuehua and Shangguan Dehui was set for this day. The golden morning sun rose slowly from the east. By the time Ni Yang woke up, Shangguan Dehui, Shangguan Su, and Shangguan she had already arrived. At this moment, they were having breakfast in the living room. Uncle Shangguan, you came so early. Ni Yang was somewhat surprised. Ni Chunggui laughed and said, It's best to do such things as early as possible. Yang, sit here. Shangguan she waved at Ni Yang. The buns Auntie made are simply delicious. Shangguan Su took a sip of milk, then casually wiped an oil stain off the chair with a napkin. Ni Yang walked over and sat next to Shangguan Shi. The chair she sat on was the one that Shangguan Su had just wiped. Shangguan Dehui brought many essential items for the engagement. After breakfast, he, along with Shangguan Su, took little Ni Yun and distributed wedding candies to each and every household. An engagement is a joyous occasion, of course. It should be shared with everyone. Chapter 676. Engagement scene. Shining brightly. _2. Sister-in-law. Congratulations. Wu Daming placed the gift box on the coffee table in the middle of the living room. Thank you. Yang. Li Ronghua, along with Gooden and Li Fugui, walked in from outside. Sister and I Yang. Gooden was very excited to see an I Yang. He was about ready to rush over and hug an I Yang when his eyes met Emochishan, and chickened out. Gooden. An I Yang reached out and patted Gooden's little head. Sister Li has also arrived. Wu Daming looked towards Li Ronghua. Li Ronghua gave Wu Daming a disdainful look. Who are you calling sister? This Wu Daming really needed putting in his place. No matter how many times she had said it, he just wouldn't quit calling her sister. Upon receiving Li Ronghua's scornful look, Wu Daming scratched his head and muttered to himself, looks just like an elder sister but doesn't want to be called one? He really was the most pitiable. An I Yang intervened, laughing. Sister Ronghua, Wu Daming, Fugui, Gooden. Let me introduce you. This is my sister Shangguan Shi. Sister Xiaoxi, this is Mo's fellow classmate Wu Daming. This is my good friend Li Ronghua. This is Gooden, Ronghua's younger brother. And this is her eldest brother Li Fugui. Shangguan Shi greeted everyone one by one. Source, web novel. Updated on new. Of course, Yang Gobeo's family couldn't be absent from Ni Kuihua's engagement ceremony. A little later, Wang Meifeng brought Yang Changjing and Yang Guobao over. Seeing his long-lost friends, Gooden was especially excited. By the time Shangguan Dehui and the others returned from distributing candy for good fortune, it was precisely 8:30. The engagement ceremony was to be held in Shangguan's home. Therefore, everyone got ready to go to the Shangguans. Shangguan Furong, dressed in a big red gift outfit, was busy arranging the engagement ceremony site. She had a dominating character and wanted to decide every single matter herself. Madame Shangguan looked at the seating arrangement, a bit puzzled. Why are all the relatives on our side? Furong, where did you arrange the relatives from the Deyi side? In China, nothing is more important than table etiquette. During big occasions, the elders and important relatives would sit on the first table on either side, but Shangguan Furong arranged the first and second tables on both sides only with relatives from the Shangguan and Zhao side. The third and fourth tables were for Ni Kuihua's relatives. Shangguan Furong said, all the relatives Deyi brought are poor folks from rural areas. It's embarrassing to have them at the first table. The first table should be reserved for esteemed guests. Having a group of nobles sit with country folk would be socially unacceptable. Madame Shangguan slightly frowned. Furong, who are you looking down on? Did I say something wrong? Shangguan Furong continued. Deyi is just a country girl. It's already a great honor for her to marry into our family. Now she wants to choose seating as well? Besides, isn't it a farce to let country folks sit with our relatives? The most esteemed guests on Ni Kuihua's side should be the Mo's and the Yangs. The Mo's came because of Emochishan, and the Yang family probably came because of the Mo's sake. At this point, Shangguan Furong paused, and then continued, plus, I've invited Li Long, Mr. Abner's assistant, to come. He will also attend my brother's engagement ceremony. That will really enhance our family's status. Do we want to embarrass ourselves in front of Mr. Li Long? Mr. Abner is a foreigner. Although his status in China is not as high as Mr. Mog's, he is still a powerful figure in Beijing. Otherwise, Shangguan Furong wouldn't have been so proud to have invited Li Long. No one could envy more than attracting the attention of Mr. Abner, even if it was only his assistant. Could an I Tsuehua, a farmer, manage to make connections with Mr. Abner? Madame Shangguan's face showed deep anger. Furong, today is your brother's day of great joy. I don't want to argue with you. I will handle everything from now on. Madame Shangguan was old, and though she didn't have much energy and originally did not want to intervene, she hadn't expected Shangguan Furong to go too far, relocating Ni Kuihua's relatives to the third table and beyond. She couldn't believe that Furong had thought of this. Mom! Shangguan Furong frowned and said, you don't mind being embarrassed? It's you who makes me feel embarrassed. Madame Shangguan took the stage to guide people in rearranging the tables and chairs. Shangguan Furong, outraged, slammed the cup in her hand on the table. Fine, fine, fine. Isn't it enough for you if I stop interfering? Anyway, when it comes to embarrassment, it's you who'll be the laughingstock, not me. Madame Shangguan rearranged the tables and chairs once again. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 677. Engagement Scene. Shining brightly. _3. The male relatives were seated on the left, while the female relatives were arranged on the right. As soon as this was arranged, Shangguan Dehui arrived with Ni Tsuehua. Madame Shangguan immediately greeted them. Dehui, Dia, what do you think of the arrangements here? Aunt, you arranged it very well. Thank you for your hard work. Ni Tsuehua replied. No trouble at all, no trouble at all. Madame Shangguan looked towards the others behind her. Everyone, please come in and take a seat. Although Ni Tsuehua didn't have many relatives in Beijing, quite a few people, both young and old, did come. The elders included Grandma Lu, Old Madame Mo, and Old Master Mo Li Ronghua and his two siblings, the three-member Yang Guobao family, Mo Qishan and Wu Daming, Ni Yang and Little Ni Yun, and Ni Chengui among others were present. The village chief, representing the entire population of Jinghua village, was also present. Madame Shangguan immediately invited everyone inside. Shangguan Furong watched the crowd entering with a look of disdain on her face. The Mo and Yang families were all right since they were also wealthy families in Beijing. But what about the rest of these people? Such people were also allowed to enter the door of the Shangguan residence. Source: Web novel. Com. Updated on Omicron New Omicron. Madame Shangguan must have been out of her mind, being so enthusiastic with these people. Were they worthy? After everyone entered, it didn't take long for the rest of the guests to arrive as well. Shangguan Dehui and Ni Tsuehua stood at the door greeting guests and handing out candies. Shangguan Furong was also warmly welcoming guests on the other side, a stark contrast to her behavior just a while ago. The elitist circle was aware that Shangguan Dehui had married a rural woman. So, many people attended the engagement ceremony with the mentality of enjoying the drama. Initially, they thought they'd see a crude village woman. But surprisingly, the bride-to-be was so beautiful. Ni Tsuehua, tall with an enviable figure, dressed in a traditional Chinese dress that reached the ground, light makeup on her face, refined and elegant, appeared even more striking than Shangguan Furong, the legitimate heiress. Where was this village girl they were expecting? Dehui, congratulations. I wish you a harmonious life. Thank you. Having thanked them, Shangguan Dehui turned to Ni Tsuehua. Dia, this is my colleague, Professor Han. Hello, Professor Han. With Ni Kuihua's polite demeanor, nobody could pick out any flaws, leaving everyone with a good impression of her. Shangguan Furong looked at Ni Tsuehua, squinting her eyes without a word. To overshadow Ni Tsuehua, she had purposely worn a dress even brighter than Nis. Still, Tsuehua managed to steal the limelight. She's such a cunning woman. Ni Tsuehua was wearing high heels today. Taking advantage of a quiet moment, Shangguan Dehui whispered, Dia, do your feet hurt? Should we get a flat pair for you to change into? No need. Ni Tsuehua shook her head. I'm fine. In the blink of an eye, it was almost 11 o'clock, and most of the guests had arrived. Shangguan Furong, holding a wine glass, stood around chatting with a bunch of wealthy matrons. One of them said, Furong, I heard your future sister-in-law is a rural woman. Is that true? There was some hint of provocation in the question. A distinguished family marrying a village woman, that was quite novel. A rare occurrence in a century indeed. Shangguan Furong nodded. It's true. Don't let her good looks fool you. She doesn't know a single letter. She's just good at seducing men. Otherwise, how would my brother fall for her? I think she's quite pretty. And her daughter Anai Yang is also good-looking. Shangguan Furong snorted. Her daughter isn't any better. Both mother and daughter are vixens. Furong, from what I can see, it seems like you really don't like them, do you? Jia Jinjin asked. Shangguan Furong replied, I've opposed this marriage from the start, but unfortunately, no one in my family listens to me. Would you like to see her make a fool of herself? Jinjin playfully swirled her glass. What do you mean? Shangguan Furong asked eagerly. If she could see Anai Tsuehua humiliated in front of everyone at the wedding, it would definitely be amusing. A glint flashed in Shangguan Furong's eyes. Jia Jinjin gave a mysterious smile. Just watch and see. After saying this, she carried her wine glass and headed towards Anai Tsuehua. Anai Tsuehua was in conversation with Zhao Yushu, Madame Shangguan's sister-in-law. Zhao Shuya, being highly educated, had thought she wouldn't have much in common with Anai Tsuehua. However, surprisingly, Anai Tsuehua was just as knowledgeable. Regardless of the topic, Anai Tsuehua always contributed to the conversation. If you find any errors, ads pop up, ads redirect, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report so we can fix it as soon as possible. You're tuning in to the Legend of the Vagabond YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.